The hustle standing, flag no fail. Hold strong, people. Hold strong. Revolutionary, frontline standing, solitary. Mind state, kinda scary. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and put me on the front line. 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 Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. Follow me until the end. Follow me if you can. Heart beating faster. Don't forget to breathe and put me on the front line. 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 Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong.
All right, you guys should be able to hear me now. Everything should be decently good. I gotta go ahead and check it. Let me know if you guys hear me on that side. Just want to make sure, check. Audio, video, everything good. All right, perfect. Hopefully it'll set. Yeah, YouTube is shit, and whatever they use with their encoder system is going haywire. So here's the thing. The first 20 minutes, people, there's 0 banning. There may be a lot of Globers stopping by. I doubt it. I'm not really sure. I did put the invite out there because I did want to talk about this back and forth that's been going on, and it's something I feel that needs to be said because it's getting out of hand as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I've been hanging out at the Glober servers for a while, ran by Jim Panda and a few others, and let you know they are doing a great job over there, and I do appreciate the conversations I've had with them. But there's something I've started noticing. The one thing that I've always stated and I've always been pretty adamant about is that I don't demand respect, but I will not give respect unless given. And over at the server, there is a group of people that decide shit talking and belittling is a little bit more important than the info getting out there that necessary. And then if I had to blame anyone, I blame flat earthers. There are a few flat earthers that do go over there and make a day of ranting and raving. And I think that they're the ones that are making it so bad. I don't blame the Globers for that. I think if there are people there that are allowing to be talked to the way they're being talked to, I believe if you allow nonsense to be happening, you're the one at fault. There are flat earthers that do go over there and allow shit talking. Allow themselves to be talked to like shit, and it irritates me. So I do want to make the announcement. Basically, I feel that if you're going to allow someone to talk to you that way, don't represent flat Earth. I believe if you talk to people this way, you shouldn't be repping the Globers because you make them look bad, and at the same these people that allow it make flat Earth look bad. Obviously, I am of all the people one of the people that have to understand that different views of how flat Earth works, how flat Earth is going to happen. So I don't run with a lot of the ideas flat earthers do, and I don't run with obviously a lot of things that Globers believe. But with that said, uh, if you don't know what someone's talking about, information wise, you don't have the balls or the reasoning to be able to defute what they're saying. Um, an issue I've been coming across a lot is, and like I said, it's not all of them, is that I'll go into the server and I'll let them know, hey, this is what I believe is happening, blah blah blah, whether it be weather modification or as I now call it, atmospheric modification, cloud seeding, what we observe on this flat plane, and what they observe basically. If you have not done your research, who are you to call anyone stupid, dumb, regardless of what you're saying? Just disrespect in general. One of the biggest things I've learned since I've been here on Flat Earth is that is to be a flat earther is not easy. If you do believe in the globe, this is actually I'm talking to you. Um, not I don't think there's anybody here who purposely is here only for their self gain. Especially myself, it's a different thing. It's something I've had to adjust to in regards to in regards to people saying, "Why am I here?" I get on a regular basis people saying that I need to just go back to the globe. But here's the kicker to it. What I observe and what I believe and what I know is that we live on a flat plane. Um, I am just learning this. I am not a person who believes that that what the government, science, or just people in general tell me is just how it is. So I do question everything I'm told. I try to do research. I try to put out the information that I've learned as best as I can. And the reality of it is I don't know it all, and I know no one here or servers or anywhere knows it all. They just don't. So there needs to be more understanding to the fact that nobody knows shit, and we're trying. With that said, I don't believe anybody should discount anybody's view unless you've done the research. And now this is for everyone, but yes, this is now me, the Flat Earth Sean, talking to these assholes that are on the other server. And I've had a few conversations with the moderators, or better yet, not even the moderators, the people that actually run the server. And it has come to their light that there are these people there that that are basically making it a shit show. And like I said, I have a very, very different idea of how things work on this flat plane than a lot of flat earthers do. And I've gotten nothing but respect from flat earthers that do believe in a dome, don't believe in satellites. Even better, believe in a god. And what I get from Globers is the exact opposite. Now, because I have different views, I do actually get along with a lot of Globers that a lot of other people don't. But I do apologize if a lot of people don't like that. But it's my views, and I do thank the flat earthers who don't try to belittle myself for my views. We do have conversations, discussions. Sometimes they get heated, but hey, that's what discussions. That's what happens in discussions, and I appreciate that because it makes you want to research more. And I hope that I haven't been any kind of an asshole or made anyone feel like I'm discounting their views based on the fact that I don't feel the same way about a lot of stuff. And that goes both sides. I'm going to call you out and it's not a bad call out, but there's a Glober here by the name of Stargazer Jim. He has probably been one of the most respectful Globers that I do have an interaction with on a regular basis, and I appreciate that type of person. Um, let's all remember that I once was a Glober, and I once came into Flat Earth with the objective to prove you guys were all wrong, and I got nothing but respect. I got nothing but discussions, and for that, the people who were around when I was there, thank you. I do appreciate it. You guys do know who you are, and I do hold a special spot for those people. One of them being Big Dreads. You've been exposed. He is probably him and man, sorry, we lost him and D.Marble. I do give the most credit to for helping me understand what's going on. And I am forever in debt for that, in my debt for that. And I will always ride for them. Understand that. There'd been a lot of BS going around about Dreads doing all this sniping and all that stuff. And those who are true FE Unity family know that it was all bullshit, and know that there were these what I call flat Earth rejects that were head of that whole thing going on. And with that said, I wanted to state the fact that there's been a lot of cloning of what I know for sure. Myself, Jamaican Titan. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't need anyone telling me that so and so was sniped, indoor porn bombed by Sean G. We've known for months now that there's a clone, and being asked if I was somewhere and to let me know that a Sean G sniped somebody, indoor porn bombed, is this, and a lot of you guys saw this. I put an announcement out and in Hangouts, Discord, and whatnot. It's a slap in my face. I've done nothing but repped Flat Earth and/or defended Flat Earth to the extent that I possibly ever could. So, with that said, if you guys, content creators speaking, aren't willing to get OBS, and you are not willing to check these people's channels to see if they have content, it's your problem, not mine. It just may sound a little assholish, but it needs to be said. You don't care enough. If you're not using OBS by now, and you have Hangouts and you invite people, you're asking for it. So if you're getting porn bombed and sniped, it's your problem. You don't care. You may even want it to happen to make it look like you're the victim. It's your fault. It's ridiculous by now. Now we should know. We should definitely know by now what needs to be done to handle the situation. So with that said, I wanted to talk now blatantly about the server that I've been discussing with the Glober server, and why I have a problem with being there. There are times where I can have a wonderful conversation with these guys. I get along with a lot of them, and I appreciate them for the information I do get from them. And for the most part, that's what's there. Now, there are these people that I consider wannabes. Whether they like it or not, I'll call them out. Guy Nick. There's a guy named D-Rex, and a few others who have made it clear what the problem is. And one of them has actually admitted to me, and it pisses me off. I've been going there talking about weather modification lately, AE, atmospheric modification, and what I get is a lot of shit talking and belittling, calling me stupid, and blah 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 blah. And I asked a question, and the response I got, it was actually not what I expected. I asked, how much research have you actually done into the topic that I'm discussing? And his answer basically was none. You're stupid, so I don't need to. and this is an issue I think a lot of people are dealing with. If you're a Glober and your goal is to quote unquote make a flat earther turn back to a Glober, do you really believe belittling is the problem? Or is it a solution I'm in? I'm sorry. It's not. We've been dealing. Or when I say we, I mean flat earthers. We've been dealing with a lot of this sniping, horn bombing, shit talking, belittling, telling us we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, or we're stupid because we believe it's flat Earth. But at the same time, there's only a select few Globers who actually are there to actually have a discussion to explain that what they believe isn't how it is, or what they believe is how it is, and what we believe isn't. As you guys know, it's more than possible for whatever you believe, whatever side it is, to have a conversation without the shit talking and all this other stuff. So the reason I'm talking, what I stated earlier in the chat, this first 20 minutes, the whole point of it is for me to say, if you aren't researching, if you aren't there to express your views in an adult way, you need to leave. You need to leave Facebook, or not Facebook, or yeah, Facebook, because there is a big thing going on Facebook. You need to leave YouTube. You need to get off these servers, or make a server of your own that is designated to shit talking and being an asshole. Because you are taking away from the people that are there for information, like myself. With that said, I hope I made it kind of clear what I was trying to explain there. If you are a flat earther and you are in these servers, I don't want to really say any names. Those who are at that server will know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't think 10 hours of being talked to like you're a piece of shit does anything for yourself. It definitely does not do anything for flat Earth. And I beg, and I hope you're listening. I hope you're around, and I hope you get wind of this. But I beg of you to stop going to that server and allowing to be talked to the way you are. And for the people that are around that server, I would appreciate it if you would not out that person here. It's not necessary. With that said, I myself will still be going there, but I will step back because it is turning me into an asshole, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate me having to become a different person in that sense. So, flat Earth, I would appreciate it if you would give more respect to Globers. The ones that aren't shit talking, the ones that are there just to state their beliefs, and Globers, I would appreciate it, and I know it will come hard pressed for you to understand that your beliefs are yours and ours is ours. But respect us, respect how we believe things are, because in the long run of it all, both sides don't know shit. You guys don't know shit. We don't know shit. We're trying to figure it out. There are cases or evidence for both sides that that kind of go back and forth, which is why there are two sides here. If there was so blatantly obvious how things worked, we wouldn't be here. One-sided would not be here. Flat Earth would not exist if globe was that obvious and that clear and that true, and vice versa. There are things that we cannot explain because we don't know. But with that said, let's get back to enjoying what I'm doing. I wanted to get that out because it's getting to the point now where it's ridiculous. It's dividing flat earthers from each other. It's dividing Globers from each other. And like I said, I had talked to the owners of the server who do understand that there is a wave of assholes that are entering their servers and ruining it for the reason it's there. So with that said, those server owners, I do appreciate what you're doing. I do appreciate the conversations we've had the past few weeks, um, and also the Globers that are there that disagree with me, but yet aren't complete assholes about it. I would like to say I have actually a great respect for a few of the Globers there, who do take the time to explain their views to me, do allow me to question what they're saying. Um, so thank you. I do appreciate you guys. You guys are actually a, a welcoming sight to what I've witnessed over the past year. And then there's the flat earthers. There are flat earthers who don't want any drama, and I appreciate that the most, because you guys are going against these assholes. You're going against people who have zero care for what we believe. So thank you guys for not taking that extra step of being an asshole to them. You guys represent flat Earth wonderfully. And I like to point that out. Logic, thank you for stopping by. You were insanely respectful to me when I was a Glober still, and I know you continue to be respectful through your live streams, and I appreciate the fact that you are that way. Your sweet place, I don't think I've ever seen you cause drama. You represent flat Earth like no other. You, Bunny, Billy Sanchez, Ted, you guys, McVice, you guys are what flat earthers should model themselves on, and I appreciate that. Stargazer Jim, who else? There's others, and I'm sorry I can't remember all the names from the server right now because I'm trying to remember what I want to talk about ahead of where I'm at now. But just know that there are Globers out there who do have respect for other people's views and just want their ideas to come across to us like we want vice versa. I'm going to be stepping up my researching game because I have learned through being at that other Discord that my research has a lot of holes, and if not holes, my way of explaining it has a lot of holes. So I will be stepping that up, and I do apologize to any, or regardless of sides, I do apologize to anyone who hears the information that I do say, and whether it has holes in it or I just didn't do it correctly, or get the perfect, get that research out to you guys as precise as it should be. I am working on it, and I do appreciate you guys that do stop by. With that said, I would like to get back to enjoying live streaming. Understand, guys. Stargazer Jim, he is a actual friend. He represents the globe as I did when I was a Glober, and so to speak, I guess I would say. He can be a dick to people that are a dick to him. I've seen it. I've seen him how he talks to other flat earthers. And it is respectful as it gets when it comes to some of the things that are said. So with that said, I'm going to say one last thing about it, and I hope everyone takes it as they do, but as information based as possible. If you are there or in any objective idea, person's live stream, YouTube stream, Facebook, it does not matter. Remember that we all have different views from everyone, and be respectful of that. And I want to put that out there to everybody. I don't care what side you're on at all. Everyone has something to say, and everyone's invested some kind of time to their lives to say it, and we need to respect that. So with that said, this emotional bullshit and he said, she said, and they think who thinks. As far as I'm concerned, we're all fucked. I think the information I want to research and I want to talk about affects everybody. So for the people that don't believe I rep or talk about flat Earth enough, too bad. That's not where I feel I need to be here for. I'm here to let everyone know the research I'm doing is happening, and I hope you take it for what it is. And I hope, like I've said before, get your ass up and go do the research yourself. I'm only someone just getting it out there. I'm not a judge. I'm not the one who says this is it and how everyone needs to think. So, with that said, let's have fun. So, let's see who's here. The Otai, man, thank you for being around, dog. You actually have played a big part to why I have that Discord server out there. You stop by, you chat, you say everything. So I appreciate that. With that said, guys, I have started a server. Said the assholes that I have dealt with, and I'm not going to label them globe or flat earthers. They're just assholes. Have turned me to an asshole when it came to that server, and I'm going to turn it around. I kind of want it to be something where everyone can go. Yeah, I noticed that. Thank you, Stargazer. I just fixed it. It should be a little bit better now. With that said, you're a sweet place. I do appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you. You are Flat Earth family for life. Free Minded, what's up? I see you in there, man. Logic, thank you for stopping by. And great streams lately. I do appreciate those, I guess you would call them streaming information type uploads you've been doing. I definitely appreciate those. Keep it up, man. Billy Sanchez, I saw you, man. Thank you for stopping by. McVice, Return to the Cat, or how you doing, Cat Eyes? Thank you for stopping by. One Big Pond, thank you for stopping by. McVice, you're always welcome, my friend. Billy Sanchez, I think I already said you. Who else is there? Ted, my man Ted. Hope to see you doing some more live streaming, my friend. Teddy, I saw you in there, man. I can't see you on the chat right now, but I do see you. Let's enjoy. Let's talk about some stuff. When it comes to my wrenches, I did notice someone asking for a wrench. Don't ask for a wrench. If you do not have a wrench, you are a flat earther, or a glober. Either I know you and you don't deserve one, or I haven't checked your content yet. So just sit back, relax. Trust me, I have OBS, so if I have a hangout, I still only have my chat down to like a 5-second delay. And if you're typing faster than 5 seconds, you got issues. What's up, Gary? Gary says, Sean, what matters in the debates is what we're demonstrable if your position is... Okay, but that's the difference, Gary. Every time everyone talks, it's not a debate. Matter of fact, we've had more discussions that you treat like a debate, and it's not a debate. Understand something. Debates between either side are events. They're not every time you talk. But like I said, you're more than welcome to your opinion on something, Gary. The only issue I have with you is you don't listen. You don't respect Flat Earth's ideas. I say that because you don't allow us to talk. You like to cut us off. You like to get your point out regardless of whether or not it's been shown a different way. So I do ask that if you are on a hangout that I'm in, that you notice you're doing that and be more respectful to the fact that we have different views. But Gary, you have a wrench. I do respect you. I do appreciate when you do give us your opinion on something. So I hope what I just said you don't take bad. You take it as advice for how to get your point across better. We need to work on it as one. We're all in the same shit place together. Every sunrise, every sunset. Big, yeah. Thank you, Otai. That's where I'm coming from. Like I said, the main thing I do research is these claims that science has given us. I notice, and a lot of people notice, there are holes there, and I want answers for those holes. I'll be doing a lot of talking about that. And then the big thing to me is that what I'm now considering atmospheric modification, because it is a big deal. So let's get into the topic at hand. And my title does say it, and it is kind of going to sound one-sided, but at the same time, everyone who's heard me talk knows that it's not directed at Globers. It's directed at these guys that don't do research. The question lies, how do you come to the conclusions that you are? Everybody, period. It's what I've now noticed is a problem, both sides. come with an observation of something and you run with it. The research that I do with weather modification is not something that I can just say is happening without having 1,000 steps to why. Um, we don't think the government, and this is to people who doubt what we're saying about how government is corrupt and blah, blah, blah. We do not come to our conclusions based on the fact that we were told. We don't come to our conclusion just because. You need to start from point A to get to point Z, which is basically, in my opinion, that they are affecting our atmospheric pressures for their gain or not telling us a lot. That is the issue. I've come with a lot of good stuff, I believe. Let's get into the weather modification aspect of it because it is a big deal. And science and in general, Stargazer, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Understand, we question how science is, and that is very important. All science should be questioned. All science should be researched, and every hole we find should be asked about. We should question it, period. With that said, there are a lot on both sides that are biased to what they hear based on their belief. So if you believe there is a dome, you're automatically taking anything said about space and throwing it out, when I think that shouldn't be done. I believe in space. I believe it's there. I believe. Matter of fact, let's go over this. Understand that where I'm coming from comes from my beliefs, and that's because it's my live stream, and I can't go off of what other people believe because I don't understand it myself, but I want to. If you believe there's a dome, there needs to be more research being done on this. Vice versa. I don't believe there's a dome. I feel like I've come across with my reasons for it, and that's it. That's all as far as I can really go. Now I can discuss this with you guys. Debate. The discussions can get heated. Oh well. Logic. Me and you had many. Earlier we had many discussions that got heated. Gary, you the same. Free minded. I think we had a couple, and that's what needs to happen. But at the same time, at none of those points have any of us, gotten so personal that it was ridiculous like other people do. And I appreciate that, and that's where it needs to stay and stand. So for those who do have these discussions with other people, whether they be Globe or like myself, Flat Earth, that doesn't believe a lot of the Flat Earth, what I call Flat Earth mainstream, stay respectful. I would like to open panels that have more flat Earth views that are different, having these discussions rather than it being a flat Earth first globe, because that's where I think everything went to shit. I think everything went to shit because, and I've done it myself, where I've listened to flat earthers who think differently than me, but I didn't speak up because I felt like it was a flat Earth versus globe. It's everyone's views versus everyone's views. That's just the way it is. It's the reality of it, and the idea that anyone should be disrespected because of that is ridiculous. So let's stay respectful. So with that said, I said that because I wanted to start talking with my views in mind because they are mine. Like I said, I do believe that there is space. I also believe that we can't go past the Van Allen belts. I do believe rockets do go into space. I believe a select few, military, may have satellites out there. I've been doing a lot of research on that, and I've hit a wall. But there are things that, like I said, are steps that make me believe what I believe within that. To the point of, I don't believe that they need to orbit. Excuse me. I don't believe they need to orbit. I believe they do have the technology to travel in space without. There are holes in it that I've seen in science that would make me believe this. No, Billy Sanchez. I don't believe in an infinite plane. Here's why. If it was an infinite plane, we could not discuss a wall. Understand that. Anyone who believes, in my opinion, 100% my opinion. What's up, Alan? I saw you in there. My bad, I didn't say your name. If you want to talk infinite plane, you're now talking an infinite dome. You're talking no ice wall. Because if there was an ice wall, that means there would have to be something infinite behind that ice wall, or an ice wall that's infinite, which means there is so much land that is unusable. Why we're talking out of research based proof. And I know a lot of you guys. Legendary, what's up, my friend? How you doing, bro? We're talking something that we cannot prove and or research at all. An infinite plane means you cannot prove anything. There is no way to prove an infinite anything. When it comes to space, we can't say space is infinite because we don't know. So that would only be a belief of something that, because we have not found an edge, so to speak. So for me, I believe there has to be an edge, quote unquote. I don't understand how it works, and that's all I can really say. I don't know. It's in my beliefs. I don't think so, but I have zero way to explain and or show that. I've heard a lot of not an infinite plane, but more land on the other side of the wall. That to me actually does make a lot of sense. In respects to the fact that before Columbus and all these written histories came about, what we call the Americas didn't exist. It wasn't there. If you think about it, if we didn't know there was a Europe and an Africa and an Asia, and there weren't people that we talked to every day, obviously, and it was just here in us in the Americas, we wouldn't know it existed. There are so many islands in the ocean that nobody has ever been to, discovered, or seen, or talked about, that those places don't exist. Those are lands that we have not discovered. So why couldn't there be these more lands on the other side? Now, if there is another more land on the other side of this ice wall, then it would explain a lot more to how the Earth or how the Sun and the Moon work. Now, with that said, I myself have not done very much research when it comes to astrology. I don't understand very much of it at all. So I'm very quick to make these people who want to question it or question me about it because they say it doesn't work. I don't know. So why are you asking? If someone says I don't know, take it for that. Obviously, they can't discuss it, and what you're saying needs to be researched because you don't know. You're literally repeating what you've read, and this is for the globe side because we're still trying to figure out what's going on flat Earth. Gary, you had said something. Actually, infinite plane doesn't exist in reality, only the concept. Exactly, and I think I kind of said that myself. But like I said, my opinion. What you were saying before, I saw Legendary was talking about satellites. Hang on, Billy says, so you believe Earth is a rock floating through space or a stationary plane? It's stationary. I don't believe that we have a spin. It kind of runs into the science thing where I think everything we've learned about forces, it doesn't make sense that we're supposed to apply all these forces, centrifugal force, quote unquote gravity, and all these other effects that happen, but once you get to space, they all don't count. That doesn't make sense to me. Whether it be we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, if we're spinning at 1,000 hour, okay, yeah, definitely. I'm actually in the process of doing that logic. While I talk, that's kind of why there are a little bit of breaks in there. If you feel that there is an infinite, or I'm sorry, my apologies, I kind of went off track. If you believe that, hang on 1 second. I do apologize, guys. If you believe that we're in space spinning, I personally would like you to jump on the panel and explain to me why centrifugal force is an effect here, but we don't feel that force. I've heard a lot of people say some things like the reason is because the Earth is so big and we've been here so long. You know, you're born to a spinning Earth, therefore you won't feel it. My question is, okay, well, if that is the case, do reentry, when astronauts go to space and come back, are they not? Are they hitting this wall of 1,000-mile-an-hour spin? Are they feeling the effects of the not spin? For instance, like I think I was watching a video the other day, and they were saying if the Earth were a ball and it was spinning and it came to a complete stop. Oh, no, I want to say that. Understand that when I'm talking, I'm 36 years old. So a lot of the things I say may sound, like he's talking like a globe. That's what I've gone with my whole life. So yeah, there are those things, and I may correct myself. But with that said, I wanted to say, if the Earth were spinning, and this video says, if it stops, what would happen is that everything would have this violent effect of shooting across the world because everything just stops all of a sudden. Well, if that's the case, why aren't astronauts affected by that same effect? If they're then leaving the atmosphere of Earth and its spin, why are they not thrown into space? Why aren't they slingshot into space once they leave low Earth, Earth itself, and enter low space orbit? Questions that I have when it comes to why does the ISS need to go 17,000 miles an hour if they're still in Earth's atmosphere? Now, I get the explanation upon that, and it actually makes a lot of sense when it comes to how an orbit works. But my question is how do they replicate that with the Vomit Comet and be able to make that work, I guess you would call it? And like I said, I don't understand a lot of this crap. And that's why I do frequent myself to these places, because I need to know. There are questions I have. So let me get this. Hang on 1 second, guys. Let me get this opened up because I can't focus on what I'm saying and do this at the same time. 1 second. Because I know I kind of just went on a ramble that didn't make sense in the past 5 minutes. And that's because I'm trying to open this up at the same time. So give me one quick second. This thing taken down real quick. Because I'm trying to open up the panel at the exact same time and it's not working, obviously. One thing I can say without having to focus too hard. If you guys haven't yet, in my description, I have the Discord invite. Go ahead and join that. I think Discord's going to be a really good place to hang out and be at because for the most part, there's more options, and I personally think YouTube's going to shit, complete shit, and I really want to get the hell off here, and I'd appreciate it if you guys were there, so that way keep having good conversations and whatnot. All right, so I'm gonna leave that open. So if you guys know, there may be a little bit of or there may be another live stream, but it is nothing, and it's not going to start. So let's see. Trying to remember how to do this. It's been so long. 1 second. All right, I can't figure out how to get that going. How to do it? Oh, I see. I almost disconnected the server. Yeah, that was close. Okay, let me see. That's awkward. Let me see. Because I have a... Oh, okay, sorry. I deleted it already. That's why. Duh. Okay, so let me get this open. Get it on my OBS. And you guys will notice there is a. I don't know why I didn't say anything. Actually, I won't even say anything. I kind of like it being there. It just being there. Let me get this open real quick. I'm gonna get this started. So broadcast. And I need to open. Oh, okay. That's all right. So I got it. All right, here we go. So I'm done just muttering in my own head, and we can get this going. Perfect. There it is. Let me fix this so my link isn't out there. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I'm not really too worried about that part. Let's see. Oh, yeah, but it's already set up. Never mind. So let's get this panel open. Bam, there it is. I don't need this. And with that said, let's see if I can move this a little bit. Make more sense. I guess we'll keep it right there. All right. All right, so back to it. I'm sorry, guys. Let me know if you want to jump in. Logic, I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. I'm assuming you wanted to jump on. So I'll go ahead and send that link to you for sure. Go ahead and shut this down so emails won't be said or put out there that don't need to be. Let me say it again. If you guys want to be on the jump on this panel, let me know in the chat so that way I can get you an invite. Gary, let me explain something. I know you like jumping on panels, and I do want to hear your views. Understand, and I had to say this last time. This is my panels, my live stream. If you do come on, you need to understand that if you're told not to cut people off, you need to understand that I'm saying it because it needs to be done how I want. But yeah, more than welcome to come on though, sir. Just understand you need to respect the fact that it is my server or my live stream. See, I'm already ready for Discord. Who else? Anybody else want to jump in and get on the panel? I'm going through the chat, see if anybody wanted to jump on. Legendary, I sent one out to you. Logic, I got one to you. What is up, sir?
What's up? What's up, Sean?
How you doing?
Hello,
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sean.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get these audio things up. I think I'm low on here.
For some reason, I jumped on my damn phone. Hold on 1 minute.
Chat back up. And again, people, the panel is open to anyone. I'm not worried about it. For you content creators, that is because I have OBS. Please do the same. It'll make life easier for you and safer. And that's the other thing. I'm probably in a couple streams. I'm gonna start going back to the Frontline Soldier channel, where I'll be that will be my calling out these assholes, because I don't want to do it here. Like I said, I want to make this a good channel, but these people need to be outed so everybody knows who they are. With that said, how you doing, sir?
My bad. I had to mute myself.
Yeah.
What's good, bro? Long time.
Yeah, man. Well, lately I haven't been streaming very often. I've been doing a lot of research. I've been trying to step up my game when it comes to research, really. And I've been hanging out with Globers, to tell you the truth. It's fun.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. I
Yeah.
got the kids off.
Yeah, no worries. That's so Otai. Right now, no, this is regular Google Hangouts that I put up. But everyone, I will be doing that. Not this one because I just started setting it up. But yeah, I'm gonna start live streaming from Discord. I like it a lot more, and you don't have to worry about being sniped and all that crap.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been doing my little I still be doing my flat earther thing, you know what I'm saying? I like where you're going, you know what I'm saying? I think I caught a lot of it, you know what I'm saying? And I say I like where you're going because um it's something that's different between a flat earther and a truth seeker. And
Yes.
and a truth seeker, you know what I'm saying, is a overall truth seeker. And you know what I'm saying, a flat earther is one aspect of a lie, which we're trying to reveal the truth, which is good. And then my whole thing on that is that if we look at the whole concept of a globe, it was created through technology, correct?
Absolutely.
Everything that we know about a globe was created through technology. So when we go and try to debunk the globe or expose the globe, we don't utilize technology. We don't utilize the tools that they use. And then you know what? I was up last night, man. I was making a video, and it's crazy that you know what I'm saying. It just happened. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? How this? You know what I'm saying? I just was up. You know what I'm saying? And I looked and I saw you was live. I said, "Let me go in now," because I made a video last night. Because I've been dealing with like 360 footage lately, and um and then with 360 footage, you know what I'm saying, you can use the fisheye lens effect because in order to you got to have fisheye lens to actually have that 360 effect.
Yeah.
So actually to do is you can see sign of how they create the globe image,
Yeah.
and then you can see how they can make it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, and that's one of the biggest issues I have. Sometimes they're not willing, Globers in general, or people who don't believe in finding out truth. Um, there are things out there that should make you guys even think, what the hell? Because I did a upload a while ago, and every bit of the information I got was from that guy, what's his name, Vsauce, and he explained that any view you have of Earth that looks like a sphere on the ISS is because of the fisheye lenses they use. Because the ISS is so close to Earth that it wouldn't be able to distinguish. You can't even see the sides of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I started going into my research about the ISS, which I mean, I do think it's there. It doesn't make sense for this thing to be flying around that people do observe without, something. Um, the thing was, is I watched I'll show you guys. I have an image of it. I was watching the ISS live feed, and we're told that the ISS does an orbit every 90 minutes. So that means it has a sunrise and a sunset twice, every 90 minutes. And the problem I had was there's never a dark, like the Earth doesn't go dark on them when you're watching this live feed. And it came clear it's not hard to make an image of what you want to be in the view and then show the ISS. And, and, and
Exactly.
and my question is why don't more people question that aspect, that fact that is a fact? It's there. It's very clear. We're told the ISS has this wonderful view
Yeah.
of Earth, but there are globers themselves that explain it's not even possible. And yeah, yeah,
Hey, I got something for you that might cut down on your buffering.
yeah.
You see the little bandwidth, because you ain't gonna share your camera.
Uh,
Like click the little bandwidth thing and take it all with me.
on here.
You hear me?
Yeah, yeah. All right. Like,
Like right in the top of your Hangouts,
yeah,
you
I just
see
did
where it
it.
got adjust bandwidth.
Yeah, it says adjust your video quality to limit your bandwidth usage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Take it all the way down to audio only, and that
Ah.
should fix your buffering.
Okay. Yeah, I just did it right now.
All right,
Yeah, that's just the thing. I'm trying to. I,
all right.
I've
You gotta get it.
because remember Logic. Remember when I first was gonna get OBS, and you were trying to explain a few things, and I got the basis of OBS down, and then over the past month, I figured out, like I learned the basic, and then I learned the whole broadcasting aspect of OBS and capabilities of it. So now I feel like I don't know shit again. It's crazy. And that's what I was trying to explain to. I think I was talking to Dojo about it because he wants to start using OBS, and I was trying to let him know. I was like, man, once you learn OBS, then you figure out you don't know shit, and then you learn the whole other aspect, and then the quality of it and the settings. Oh, such a pain in the ass right now. So I'm back in that.
Yeah,
I'm back in that realm of it. Oh,
now
hang
go.
on one sec.
I was
I just want to say what's up, Dre. Welcome. I haven't talked to him in a minute, and I saw you just jumped in. But my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, try to do something that's not as bandwidth intensive. Try something like XSplit. You can try a little trial and to see if you like it.
Oh,
But
okay.
XSplit don't use a lot of bandwidth. So see, you know what I'm saying? Now you sound better now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
stop buffering. Yeah. So if you use that Hangout, you're not gonna share the screen. Just take that bandwidth all the way down to the audio only, and
Okay.
then it just lets you use on your computer.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
I like that better because anything I would show anyway, I like to show, on the screen rather than through the Hangout.
exactly.
But that's also why I want to use start using Discord because Discord, you don't really have to worry about getting porn bombed, so to speak. And and I'm pretty sure that the way it works, it's not so bandwidth intensive. You know what I mean? And I'm still learning about all that stuff, so it's man, it's been hectic. Yep.
Yeah. You try to get it. Just when you do the research, you know what I'm saying? Like when you figure out what you streaming to, just research, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Do a quick Google search, you know what I'm saying, which is the best low bandwidth usage to stream to YouTube. And then you know what I'm saying, it'll tell you like OBS, XSplit. You got a lot of options out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people just use the OBS Studio because it's free, but
And it was
XSplit
put out there.
it's not expensive. It's just an investment.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I also realized. I realized that there are so many different programs that OBS at this point now is almost one of the low quality ways of doing this.
Yeah, it is. Matter of fact, it's not it's the lowest,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. But it's free,
Yeah.
so you know what I'm saying. You got a free product, and that's what you get. You know what I'm saying. You get you know what I'm saying. You don't have encoder updates. You know what I'm saying. With all these other platforms, because what it is that it's not point OBS was good, but as YouTube continue to update, as Twitter continue to update, then OBS still have their basic encoder settings. So it's like your computer will fight.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? To put where if you actually get an XSplit or anything like that that have updates, you know what I'm saying? It you know what I'm saying? It's adjusted with the times. Or I mean, OBS is like, you know what I'm saying?
Stream and Hangouts. I think OBS is wonderful. But like I was saying, because now I've learned OBS and now I've realized the real potential of these things. OBS now is too low grade for what I want to do. Um, and then, like you were saying, the whole encoder updating shit, that's the issue I'm having right now. It's not my bandwidth. I have great signal. I'm looking at green. I have great numbers. But what's been happening is my encoder literally stops working. Where YouTube doesn't even get any data or from that encoder.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You'll get it. You know what I'm saying? Because especially doing what you do, you're dealing with a lot of layers, and then you like to put graphics in your stuff like that, so that it won't handle that though.
Yeah, well, that's the
But
problem I'm having now. Where everything. So what we're talking about, everyone in the chat, where I have so much going on. I have probably about 12 scenes, and in those scenes, I have probably 8 or 9 sources, and I'm basically overloading my OBS. And if you guys don't understand what I'm saying, I with OBS, I'm about to do it with my screen right now. My screen should look like this because I'm using OBS. This is what I should be using based on the power of OBS. I know there's a little delay, but yeah, you guys will get it once it gets to it. This is how I should be running my OBS. But because I expect and because I want to have so many pleasing visuals for everybody and have my expression of a live stream should be, I overload the crap out of it.
yeah, but on another note though, you know what I'm saying. I encourage you know what I'm saying a lot of people uh invest in the technology that they use to create the goal, to duplicate it before you start, and that's research. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's with that research in there. You know what I'm saying? Just like the scientific method. You know what I'm saying? I think what it is a problem with, I think, with the flat Earth community, that it's a lot of regurgitation of information, and then it's not a lot of experiment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if you experiment certain concepts, you will understand it and you can explain it. And then if you we look at just researching this as just far as that, hey, look, let me go to Google and let me find out, because you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, you can go to Google and you can find out anything you want. You can go to Google, you can find that Beyonce is a transgender, that Michelle Obama is a transgender, Hillary Clinton is Bill Clinton is gay. So YouTube, you can find anything to please you. You know what I'm saying? That's true.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? If you want to, and I encourage people to just experience. Just think of something crazy that you know not to be true, and Google it, and you will find a source that's telling you it's true.
Oh yeah.
So now, my point is that that's not research. If you go and just Google, you know what, the flat Earth truth, and then you pull up a lot of different articles, and you pull up all this stuff like this, and then it's not research, but you can take that source that they might have gave you, and then you experiment it for yourself, and then you will go ahead and you'll start opening up a new dimension. And that's why the whole flat Earth globe battle has continued to go on. Because to be honest with you, nobody, and I'm gonna say this, nobody has done their research.
Oh, exactly.
Everybody is going off of, hey, let me see what I can Google. Let me see what pictures I can Google. Let me see what slides I can pull off the internet. But how many people do you actually see? You know what I'm saying? That's actually doing stuff. And some people, I mean, I think I saw this video where this guy had he made a rocket. He was an older gentleman, and he tried to shoot himself into outer space. I forgot, it was like the other day, and he obtained all these injuries. But you know what I'm saying? At the end of the game, he's attempting to experiment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is this source and this source out here saying this? So now let me experiment to verify that source. But see, no experiment or no source verification is going on in the flat Earth or the globe Earth community.
Oh,
That's
100%.
why everything still exists.
And that's why I do appreciate, at that server I was talking about, the Globers that actually do want to get their information out and actually do research. I was noticing in the chat, the guy, there's someone named the Angry Taco. They're kind of going back and forth right now about gravity. I've actually had a discussion. I won't say any names, but a few of the people in the chat right now may have been there. Gravity in itself, science has no clue. If you want to make it as simple to explain as possible, gravity is just a word they've said to explain one aspect of something they've observed. It is not, there's no to be proven yet. There's no way to show what it is. And not to mention, there are so many things that are happening on Earth, in space, that keep that from being an understood effect.
Yeah, hold on. Hey, sure. I don't think about it. I don't think about it. Heard that because you was chopping up a little bit.
Okay, I was just saying that so that science in itself only uses gravity as a term for one aspect of what they make sure on my phone. Yep, hang on, let me turn my phone off. That's the other thing I noticed. My phone. If you're using Wi-Fi in one room, but even though if you're on an Ethernet cable, it will still affect it. So I got to remember to turn all my stuff off. But like I was saying, when it comes to the term, word, whatever you want to call it, of gravity, they don't understand it at all. They don't get it. It's not something they can explain to anybody like they know. And the Angry Taco, I suggest maybe you back up a little bit. You realize that you don't know really what's going on, and research what science actually does believe and know about gravity. With that said, there are so many aspects of the universe and on Earth and all these things happening that gravity can't be. It's not something that's going to be a solid term that can be shown and or proven. There may be there may be things you could point out that would uh, that would show what you're trying to explain, but in the long run, science is still trying to figure everything out. And the biggest issue is science isn't going to tell you where their flaws are. They're only going to want to tell you about their achievements.
Yep. And if you don't mind, can I say something about this whole gravity thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that gravity, you know what I'm saying? And then I like to stick with definitions. You know what I'm saying? Is gravity is that the force that attracts the body toward the center of the earth. So you know what I'm saying? Gravity is what they tell us that it makes us stick to the earth. But think about this. It's still a theory because it's an explanation. It's an explanation. And the principle that this explanation stands on, that's why it's a theory. It stands on the only principle is because we know that we stand and we stick to the ground. So now, when people try to sit here and say that gravity is alive or gravity is a truth, it's a theory. It's an explanation. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you go and you try to figure out, okay, well, you know what? How hot do the sun burn? Nobody knows. But do the sun produce heat? Yes, it does. So now you can have many theories about how hot the sun is, how it produces the heat, but we don't know. But the reason that it remains a theory is because the principle that it produces heat. Now flip that to the globe. And to the gravity. We know that we don't float in space. We don't stick to the ground. You know what I'm saying? If you know what, if you never call gravity, then we'll still stick to the ground.
Exactly.
So it is a lot of times we argue over stuff that, in the sense of thing, it don't matter. It don't matter, and I say this because it matters because they telling us this exists, but they said gravity is still a theory.
Exactly.
Gravity is a theory. So you know what I'm saying? It's like when we waste our time with that, that's what essentially happened. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, you know what? Somebody just say, hey, look, you know what? I can say, you know what? Sean got a low top fade. That's what I call it. It's a low top fade. You know what I'm saying? It's the way his hair design is, whatever the case may be. So now, you know what I'm saying? That's my term for that. Gravity is your term for us not floating in space.
Exactly.
But you know what? Does it really matter? It should matter. You know what I'm saying? It's like we'll fight and fuss over gravity, over stuff like that. But the real things that we should be trying to dig into is we should be trying to dig into their model.
Exactly.
Because their model is not proven through general principles. That's my only problem with the globe.
Okay, and that's I was going to say that something about because Gary's in the chat, trying to give his idea of what gravity is. Now, Gary, I want you to understand something. This is a conversation I had with Globers who believe in gravity, and this is why I feel the way I do about it just being a word. So let's talk, and I know a lot of people don't like it, the Big Bang. So science had made a prediction that because of the Big Bang and how their forces work, that all the universe would basically expand to a point where it would become a static universe, which means that basically the universe would no longer expand. But what they have found is that their prediction was wrong, and that the universe is actually speeding up in its expansion. So that right there alone is another step into what is this force they call gravity. Because as it states, if gravity is what they say it is, everything should be actually slowing down and being more attracted to the biggest mass in the universe, so to speak. And science has even made this very clear that they don't understand why, because of this force they call gravity, why we're not seeing more galaxies colliding. Why aren't galaxies imploding on themselves because of this force gravity? So then I asked in this conversation I was having, well, if gravity does this effect, but the universe is actually expanding, what's the force that makes the universe expand in every direction? Because gravity would have to be all around the universe, but we don't know what's on this expansion, and we don't know the force that is making it expand at a faster rate. So if that alone doesn't make you question what gravity is, then you're stuck just wanting to everyone to believe gravity is something that should be focused on.
Yep.
Um,
And see, and that's Gary you're talking to,
yeah.
because he's saying that, you know what I'm saying? He said it's a scientific theory.
Yes.
So now, Gary, a scientific theory is still a explanation. It's an explanation and it's based off all facts. So now you ask yourself this, instead of you questioning me, ask yourself this. Then what are the facts that they associate with gravity? And then now you'll start seeing that that's why it's an explanation and not a fact. That's why it's a theory and not a fact.
And
Then
also,
you
okay,
go,
go ahead, keep
yeah,
going, keep going, keep going.
yeah. You can go to a regular theory or a scientific theory, but it's an explanation. It's an explanation. You know what I'm saying? Based on facts. Just like I said earlier, you know what? I know that it's a fact that the sun produces heat. But now, if I try to explain it, and then I go in detail and I say, okay, it produces this much heat, is this far away. It's still my explanation, because ain't nobody go and stick a goddamn thermometer in the sun. That's why it's a theory. It's the explanation. And then they trying to explain things. So now, if you just look at it, and I just challenge you to look at the definition of a scientific theory and a general theory, and then you will see that no matter what you say, whether science do it or it's a theory in general, it's still somebody explanation, or it's somebody idea of this is how things occur.
Oh yeah, and science made it very clear, because Gary, and this is to Gary, not a wide brace. You like to use that scientific theory term, as in this is how it is, concrete, so and no other way around it. Science does make it very clear, whether it's a theory, a hypothesis, or a scientific theory. It can change at any time if they find something different. With that said, understand that if someone is doing any kind of science for 20 years, and it's been very documented, other scientists and physicists, they make this very clear. It is almost impossible for them in their brains to let that go. They're going to press for what they believe as hard as they can, regardless of the outcome. Um, and we see that all the time, which is why things change. The prediction of the universe slowing down and coming to a stop has been around for a very long time, and it wasn't until '98 that they realized that they were wrong. You really think that one person with one telescope was able to disprove them, and then them just go, "You're right"? No, they held on to that for a very long time. They still to this day question whether or not it's slowing down. The you know what I mean? And it's insane that people don't realize these things. Um, Stargaze, Jim, you were saying in the chat that I guess you said the Milky Way. I can't find it, but you were saying the Milky Way and another galaxy were on a collision course. My question is that because of the projected path they're on, or is it because of gravity? Great Mighty's in the house. What's up, sir? How you doing? If you want to jump on panels, let me know. You're more than welcome. But the main thing you're not doing, Gary, is you're not realizing that what you're saying can change at any time. It's not set in stone, and that's what we mean by it's just an idea. Because your idea does not explain these other effects that should be happening because of gravity as well. There's something else someone said in the chat. I don't remember. I can't really find it. But yeah, it's the lack of questioning that worries me when it comes to science. Everyone should be questioning them because there's gonna be a bias no matter what.
Exactly, exactly. And it's when you sit here and you read all these scientific documents, and then you don't energize your natural given ability to have common sense, your natural ability to have logic, to question things. You know what I'm saying? if we didn't question things as humans, it'll probably still be in fucking huts now over a fire, goddamn, eating rabbits. You see what I'm saying?
For real, for real.
It's our ability to question things, because that's how we get better. But see, when you got people sitting here and say, "Oh, science say that, so I guess that's got to be it." No, and if you talking about something, it's a theory. It's a theory. It's their explanation. I can give you plenty of theories right now, my theories, and it could be associated with facts, but it still will be my theory, because now I can't just sit here and say that this is straight up and down the truth. But I can look and do research, and I can tell you how they created things.
Absolutely.
I can see and recreate, and I can see and say, okay, it's a fact that they used a fish island to create the globe model. I can prove that. That's easy.
Absolutely. Hey, what's up, Dre? How you doing, sir?
What it do?
Man, it's been
Man,
a
what's good? What's
it's been a
good?
minute.
Man, you know, I've been busting up the shifter roll. Just been working. Just been working, you know. What's happening, fellas?
Man, just getting in on this
Oh,
sorry.
man, you know what I want to say, man? This shit brings some goddamn joy to my heart, man. I miss y'all, man. No key, man.
Hey, yeah, it's been a minute since we had all three of us been on a panel.
No homo. No homo.
No.
No, we're just getting into I'm not sure if you heard the beginning of it. Basically, you know, because I kind of been laying back on the live streaming and doing a lot of, you know, research here and there, hanging out at Discord, and it just came to a head, and I felt I needed to get that, you know, that respect word out there. You know, both sides need to respect it, and question. You know, the idea of questioning things, we all definitely need to. I know me and Dre have gone through our back and forth on what we believe, but and the main thing was there's been that respect still there. I man, between you Dre, and Logic, Logic, we've probably had the most heated conversations at some points, and I've never once, you know, thought anything different than you guys are still family.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I got that video though. You was bumming on you was got there when you was a Glober. I
Yep.
ain't gonna call you a Glober.
Oh yeah.
When you was close, I ain't gonna call you a Glober. When you was closely associated, or you accepted the globe model. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm?
You was spiritually influenced.
Yeah, there you go.
I still got that video, man. You was in that bit going hell.
Yeah, and I want to I'll get at you later on, Logic, but I want, if you can, I want to get that. Everybody in the chat, you guys, especially Dre and Logic, I like you guys to be here when that time does come. I'm coming up on a year, and I'd like to, you know, I'd like to get all those people that, you know, really are the reasons that got the information out to me, and even more importantly, had allowed me to have a voice on your guys' panels and in situations to learn what I need to learn and research what I need to research. You guys are a big part of why I'm here right now, and I appreciate it. And I want to, you know, do a live stream that's nothing going back and forth. It's just good times and hanging out with, you know, the family. And so I just want to get that out there, and you guys and the people in the chat, that I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. I think I'm on a year. And I'm talking year of being flat earther. I think I've been around for just over a year now. I think, I'm not sure, but yeah, I want to be doing that pretty soon, and I want to get that going.
Nice.
Yeah.
So y'all,
Who
y'all was talking about gravity.
I'm not sure. Yeah, we were talking about in general the term of gravity. The idea that there's maybe some observances that they use as their proof of gravity, but they're not willing to realize that there are so many things that are questioned in that it could be something different, and all they're using gravity as is a name for one.
It's an explanation.
Yeah, it's for one small little thing. But like I was saying, I was having that conversation. But my big question was, you know, the universe and how it works. You know, I'm not gonna say disproves, but it puts gravity into question big time. I was listening to a podcast, and and I've heard a lot of people say this, and I don't think a lot of people that believe in gravity really take this into mind. The idea that the moon is supposed to stay within our orbit because of gravity. All these things happen because of gravity. Yet lifting your arms is almost quote unquote anti-gravity. It's not anti-gravity. It was explained to me how it's not anti-gravity. No, it was explained to me how it's not anti-gravity. But how does a force be so strong yet so weak at the same time? And those are the things that you should be questioning.
Hey, can I say something real fast though, real quick though? Because I think just on a general baseline, and if you guys disagree, you know what I'm saying, tell me to shut the fuck up. But I keep seeing people saying that, okay, what is the proof of a flat Earth? Now, in my mind, flat Earth is a concept. Flat Earth is a concept that simply states that, hey, we're not on a globe. So,
Right.
but at the end of the day, the concept that we know that we exist on is a flat plane.
Oh, and that's exactly so.
I agree with you 100%.
Me too. When I'm asked that question, I have one answer that I can prove, one answer that no one can disprove, but yet a lot of people just discount it. Go outside and tell me what you observe. Go to the top of a mountain and look out and tell me what you observe. Forget the whole you can't see 1,000 miles because you're not Superman. No one can.
Yep.
You observe a flat Earth. Period.
Yep.
Now, anything else beyond what you can observe when you step outside your door is you believing someone else.
Facts. You walk on the flat Earth. No matter what you do, you don't see clouds curve, and you know that clouds, you know what I'm saying, go along with the plane of the Earth. So you haven't seen no folding clouds. I mean, not no curving clouds. You haven't seen nothing curve. Right. So now it's not about flat Earth represents the actual exposing, you know what I'm saying, of the globe theory principles. That's it. We know that the everything that's in the globe, that the sun is this, the earth spins this, that we is curved. No. Flat Earth represents the only way that flat Earth, if they didn't give us a globe, then we wouldn't have a flat Earth. We'll just be here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only reason flat Earth exists is because you gave us a globe. You gave us the lie. So now all that we saying is that no, the only principles that we can identify with is a flat plane. You gave us a globe. So now I don't know how they keep saying what is the fact. No. Let's not play that game. Your principles has been debunked through naturally us.
Through their own science.
Oh yeah, well,
debunked through a lot of their own science.
Exactly. I think the biggest issue for flat earthers when it comes to globers is this. Why don't you question these things that we're saying? If we say here's an issue, why doesn't this work this way? And you just say cuz it doesn't, it's a globe, then you're not willing to learn to figure things out. And I'm sorry, Dre. I had to get that because I knew I'd forget if I did.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just saying though, it's like a lot of, I mean, some of the science. I'm not going to say a lot because I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot of the science that actually contradicts itself or doesn't make any sense. But I mean, like with gravity, for instance, they say what the rate is like 9.8
Meters a second.
meters a second or whatever it is, the pull, yeah, the rate of gravity. Okay, but if you're on a sphere though, isn't that going to change from the equator to the pole just like everything else does? So
Yep.
things should weigh different weights from the equator to the so-called pole. You know what I mean? Things should be moving at different speeds, which obviously on a sphere they would, but they don't they can't explain stuff like that. And I've yet to come across somebody that can. They just make pretend it don't
Yep.
exist. But
Yep.
like, come on.
Yep. You mind?
And this is their science.
Yep. You mind if I interview you, Gray? I'm not Gray. Dre on the flat Earth real fast, and it'll be a 3-second debunk. Guess how easy it is. Do you mind if I interview you real fast?
Nah, go ahead.
All right, real quick. I'm gonna do it like this. Have you ever saw land bend? Have you ever saw sea bend? Or have you ever saw clouds bend?
Land,
You,
yes.
I mean, you saw land. Well, you saw land curve. Not. I mean, actually, like you know what I'm saying. You'll see like the land curve.
Right, absolutely, and that's called a topographical feature. That's just like if you have, a table is flat, and you put cups and plates and stuff
Oh yeah,
on it.
But I'm
It's
saying
still right.
land, like you see land curve. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible for you to see actual land curve from your eye anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
If it did curve, it's impossible to see it. So now, if we haven't seen nothing curve, no nothing, we haven't saw the fall of nothing. So now that's saying that okay, the whole sphere thing is in question. We never have you ever spit off the earth? I mean, or spit off your feet?
Nope.
So now the whole spin concept is in question. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
now
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
And then the last thing I want to say that can we understand that our ass keep us on the ground? And that's it. It's crazy. Our ass keep us on the ground. So now this is all natural things we experience that we know, and then we let somebody else indoctrinate us because they want us to accept these beliefs uncritically. And that's it. And then we fight against each other because, hey, look, man, I know my ass keeps me on the ground. If I put a goddamn feather in the goddamn sky, that bitch gonna float away or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's stupid. They even have these conversations, but they want to have these conversations because they trying to come at you with the set of beliefs that they was given, and that's why they keep running in the circles. Hold on, my man.
And yeah, they refuse to let go, especially when the proof is right in their face. They just have to accept it. They just refuse to accept it. I mean, yeah, they ain't the only ones that's been fooled. We all been fooled. So what? You ain't never seen no water bend. The surface of it, it's simple stuff like that. Just like the other day. I guess it was yesterday because it rained today. Yesterday, 4:30 in the afternoon. Moon is big than a motherfucker up in the sky, and literally 180 degrees opposite side. I got some footage of it too. I just didn't have time to get into it because I've been working or whatever. But 180 degrees, pan to the other side. Sun just chilling. Moon ain't even full, and that's okay. But at the bottom of the world in Australia, it's supposed to be nighttime, and I guess they don't have no moon. They don't think about that stuff, like stuff right in their face. How can you explain that away that you see in America anywhere you can see during the day, but yet supposedly in like Australia it's supposed to be nighttime and they see the moon? How can you do that on the globe? You can't.
Yeah.
But that don't mean nothing to them. They'll cognitive dissonance.
Crazy. I'm with you, man.
Mind fuck.
Yeah, that's why I can't do it no more because it takes so much. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with somebody that just will blindly accept beliefs and don't question it, you know what I'm saying? Then them people just existing. You know what I'm saying? And then I can't deal with them because you know what? They will continue to be told everything, and then that's just how it be.
That's the vast majority of society, though. That's how the vast majority of people function. There's only a handful of people that's like us that actually, get into that stuff and chop it up like that.
Yeah, and it's not really with flat Earth. It's with everything.
Oh yeah,
everything. Yeah, exactly.
Everything they give us, we should question because with everything they give you, it's a agenda behind. He back.
Oh, I thought the whole genre shut down.
No, he streamed through OBS.
But seriously, that's literally where it's heading, and they got this thing down to a science right now where it's like a recipe. They know exactly what to do in order to keep the masses of people dumbed down and docile to the point where they don't want to know nothing. They just want to know the the score to the next game.
Hang on
And,
one sec. One sec. Hey guys, apologize. What I did is I started I cooked something in the microwave for my son, and that's what the buffering was about. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but that's why the hangout actually dropped out for a second. But continue on.
No, that's all good, bro.
Yeah.
But
yeah. You're right. You hit it on the head. Is when you got generations and generations and generations of taught indoctrination, it becomes tradition. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now,
and tradition can become dangerous.
Yes.
That's why the Democratic Party is in so much danger, because tradition has blinded the Democrats to the point where they just allowed them to do any and everything to Democrat.
But not only has the tradition blind the Democrats, it blinds the people.
Oh yeah.
Because no matter what fuckery they do, you'll still have people say, "Hey, look, you know what? I'm a Democrat. My mom was a Democrat, or I'm black.
Right.
I don't supposed to be a Republican."
But
you see what I'm saying? It's certain concept that what we have is that we don't question nothing at all, and it's set in as indoctrination. And then over the years, you will fail to question it because it's been in your generational lineage for so long that you will say, "No, I gotta do this. No, I cannot. I gotta accept this. This is what my big mama did. This is what my big daddy did." That's the problem with indoctrination. And indoctrination over a long period of time turn into tradition. And tradition is deadlier than indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? Indoctrination is the start.
Right. See, indoctrination is the tool. Tradition is the reinforcement.
Ooh,
that was good right there.
All right, what you said? Indoctrination is goddamn the
indoctrination
is the pistol.
Indoctrination
is the bullet. That kid.
I mean, there you go. That's basically what it is, and they understand that because they understand the psyche of people in general. And then when you and I hate to take it to this level, but these people that so-called run the show, they actually do, racially biased studies where they'll actually do a specific group on blacks. They'll do a specific study on a group of whites. They'll do a specific study on a group of Orientals and Asians and see how each group responds to the stimuli, whatever the stimuli may be. And then they cater it to the plan that they want to invoke. And that's exactly what they do. They understand that, unfortunately for us as a people, because we get a lot of shit, but that's because we don't understand how the system works, and we allow it to happen. We invite it, and then we complain about it, and we don't do nothing to fix it. And this is a part of that whole entire system, and to waken not only us up as a people, because we got some work to do, but just people in general. But we need to elevate our consciousness, because we can't even get it. You know what I'm talking about. It's a lot of areas. There's a lot of areas where we need to get the basics together before we can get it together on a level like that where it's unified across on the board type thing. So
but see,
it's a lot of work.
We never get to it because we never go to the general principles. The general principles, the stuff that we can prove. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. It's like, but we will go to a scientific explanation, and we ourselves as people don't look at the general principles. They sit here and say, "Your explanation is full of shit." You see what I'm saying?
You just accept it because you think it's right, and that's what Big Mama said. That's what Big Mama did. Yeah, but that's where tradition becomes dangerous. Absolutely.
Man, I'm finna do a show just on that shit. Right, I got that shit right now. Indoctrination is the weapon, and tradition is the bullet. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but this, like, they use that across the board, whether it's on a social economical level like that, or whether it's on a scientific and discovery level. They do the same thing. It's the same recipe. They just use it in different ways. It's like a multifaceted tool that they adapt to whatever program they want to implement, if you will. That's all it is, and it's been working for thousands of years.
Yep. And that's why they go to that point and say, "I can't accept what you're saying." Look at it. The new things or the new concepts that they introducing to us slowly.
Absolutely.
failure. You know what I'm saying? All these different things, they introducing it to us slowly. So now they gave us the weapon, but now it's becoming tradition. So now we got that motherfucking bullet.
And
The
and and I,
woken society.
and I like to say, welcome, Gary. Gary, you are more than welcome on the panel. And actually, anybody in the chat, you are more than welcome on the panel. But I do, I I demand, it is the rule that you understand that if this is my panel, there will not be over talking. There will not be disrespecting. Gary, I'm not saying you're disrespectful to anybody, but there will be none of the above. Period. With that said, Gary, welcome to the panel.
Welcome, sir.
What's up, Gary?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
My mic coming through okay?
Yeah, you sound good. I can hear you.
Check one.
All right.
So what's happening, Chief?
What's up, Dre? Where you been, man?
Man, I just been working. I just been working. That's all I've been doing. Some real.
All right, then ain't nothing wrong with that.
Man, yeah, I needed. I ain't gonna front though. I did need a little bit of a break though. I had me a nice little break, but I miss being on chopping it up with y'all.
No, I don't get on that often. I mean, every once in a while.
Nah, that's cool. No, I wasn't necessarily talking about you per se. I'm just saying with my family, my fellas, that I usually chop it up with. I don't usually chop it up with you on that level, but it's still nice talking to you, busting you up with that gravity theory and all that stuff. I enjoy it.
You mean the fact of gravity? Since gravity is a fact, established fact.
Okay, hey, Gary, and I'm happy you're here. Then, let me ask you something. If it is that way, as you assume it is, explain to me what force does the exact opposite, or what force is it that's making our universe expand the way it is?
The cause of the expansion of the universe is not known. We don't know anything beyond the Planck time.
Okay, do you understand that science themselves question the fact that what we see in the universe that is expanding at a faster rate kind of puts a damper in how gravity is said to work?
I don't see how, but
Okay, well, I'll explain it. So
gravity is what we observe in space in massive any object actually.
Well, that's the problem, because we don't observe that in space. Because the universe, as I said, their first predictions were based upon gravity. They assumed that because of gravity, the universe would be expanding. It would start to slow itself down, and at one point become a static, and then come back and collapse on itself because of gravity.
Yep.
The fact that it does the exact opposite, where it is actually not slowing down, it is actually increasing in speed. It puts a damper in how gravity works in the universe, and that is what they're saying, not just me.
Sean,
we don't actually
think
witness
you meant dagger, not damper. Dagger.
Hold on. Yeah, we actually don't witness space expanding. We don't witness space expanding. That's not what we're watching.
Technically, you don't witness anything in space because everything that, whether it's NASA or any other agency, everything that they gather from space is pure data, and then they interpret it into a fashion for the public to view or whatever. All those pictures and things that you see aren't real. That's their interpretation of the data that they receive through their so-called instruments or satellites. That's all it is. It doesn't, and they admit that. They'll tell you straight up.
That's not right.
No, that is right.
Wait.
That's why you have renderers and people that actually.
Well, hang on, Gary. I want you to explain this to me, because you said something that I want you to explain. I want you to explain to me what they observe the universe doing if they don't observe it expanding at a faster rate.
Okay, you're talking about two different things. What
No.
they're witnessing when they're talking about the expansion of the universe, they're doing the cosmic microwave background radiation, the red light shift. That's what Hubble seen. That's how he even came up with the theory for the Big Bang, and that's what confirmed it is the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Okay,
That's what
but
they're observing.
and I
That's
want you
what
to
they're
understand,
saying.
you also realize that this whole theory of gravity, which was also brought, to a bigger media scale, social media scale, was based upon Newton and Einstein, correct?
Um,
Amongst
Newton,
others.
maybe. I don't know about
But
Einstein. Well,
but the,
yeah, Einstein kind of enhanced it, I guess you could
okay,
say. But yeah.
you do know that Einstein.
He said enhanced.
You do understand that Einstein also believed in a static universe at one point.
Yes, and he was proven to be wrong.
Okay.
But yes, he did.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because a lot of people. The reason I said that isn't to disprove gravity. The reason I said that is because I want people to understand that when you talk about these things, understand that the people that gave you the information, they're wrong about a lot of stuff.
They
Well, of
made a
course, yeah.
lot of stuff
Oh,
up
yeah.
just to make. They
No, no,
made a
no,
lot
not
of
making.
stuff up to make it work,
No,
so
not
to
making it
speak.
up. They had what they
Yeah,
thought was the truth. They thought this is what the thing was. This is why they do the experiments to confirm what they thought was true. It's just like Sean
Einstein's
was saying.
special.
It's just like Sean says. Sean was saying that they're measuring space. They're not measuring space. They look at
Ooh,
the
whoa, 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 whoa!
cosmic
I did not
microwave
say they were
background
measuring space.
radiation.
I didn't say they were measuring space.
Then what do you think they were
I said
measuring?
they're measuring data. If that's what you're talking
If
about,
anything, I know
Well,
exactly.
right.
record
I
or
no.
recording
See, here's the
data.
thing. Remember,
Right,
I
but
told you I've
hold
been
on.
hanging.
That
I've
you
been.
were talking.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've
Yeah.
what I'm telling you right now is what I was told by someone who was giving me this information, who is actually a glober. Understand? I don't think they measured space. It's not like they went, well, this is how far this is. The Hubble telescope, which made this what you would call, I get what I call it, like the light shift, the color, whatever you call it.
The Doppler is the Doppler shift, the red and the blue.
Yeah, so basically, as stars change colors, it tells you how old they are, basically. And they're showing, it showed that not only is it expanding, it is expanding faster. Now, what you're saying, they're two different things. It was actually one thing that they figured out. That it is expanding, and it is expanding faster. That's not two different things.
Speeding up. Yep.
No, I mean, see, like what Dre was saying, the satellites and the rendering. The part about the universe expanding and the red light shift, that was before satellites. That was before
Yeah.
NASA.
Okay, but listen. Okay,
What does that change?
listen. Wait. Hold on. Let me clear this up a little bit because even though I said satellite, whether it was before what we know to be a satellite existed or not, they still had to have something to measure these phenomena in order to record the data. So whether it was
Yeah,
some
they
sort
thought it
of
was
an
through a tunnel.
antenna, or whether it was an antenna, a
No,
satellite,
no,
or
but it
some
was
sort of a
before antennas.
telescope.
I mean,
Listen,
it was it was
the
before
point,
all
the
of that. They
point,
just used the
the
telescope.
point, the point that I am making is all of these things that they show you as far as nebulas and these pulsars and all this bullshit that they show you is that supposedly in outer space they get that from data that they receive and then they turn it into an artistic rendition. That's not something that they put the telescope out there and actually seen the pulsar jetting out microwave energy from both ends. They didn't physically see that. That's some shit that somebody made up in order to explain the data that they receive. That's how that works. They're not out there looking at this shit that they show everybody. That's why they're one of the biggest frauds around because they're showing you all this shit that don't even exist.
Right.
This is what
But
I'm
the
talking
thing,
about with the
no,
data.
yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying about them interpreting data from satellites and everything. That's fine. If you don't believe that, I mean, I understand. That's what somebody says that they believe it looks like. I got that. I get you. But when we're talking about like the red light shift and the cosmic microwave background radiation, they saw
Hmm.
that before there were satellites. They saw the space. They saw that before, that was done from the ground with a regular telescope, not even the big ones. I mean, it was a big telescope, but it's just straight glass and metal.
Right.
No,
I know what you're talking
there
about.
wasn't even computers
They couldn't
when
figure
they
it
were
out. They
doing this.
thought it was coming from like some other source located on the ground, and it took them a while, and then they finally figured out what it was. The background. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, Gary, I have a question.
No,
So
What
I'm
has
familiar with
what has that changed since
it.
there's satellite? What has that changed about what we know about the universe?
what What's changed? What do you mean?
You were saying, or you were saying to Dre that the whole redshift and what we know about the universe expanding was before satellites and all this stuff. So what has changed since then?
Well, since then, just like they made comment, other theories about it. It confirmed some of the gravitational things that we saw, because then we can see in between the red light shift, and we can actually help. It actually what helps us track motion and everything. It actually one of it for Pluto is that we saw shifts in the cosmic
See
background radiation to
that's
let us
what
know
they
that
tell
there
you.
should be something there. So, but we didn't see it.
Okay,
But we knew something was
and I'm
there.
happy you just said that, Gary, because here's why personally I question what they tell us. I'm sure you've heard about there's this gap between the sun and Venus that shows that there may be something there.
There should be a planet there, and there ain't nothing there.
And the reason
There's a gap in what?
the reason they say there could be is because of the space and the way everything orbits around it. Well, here's the problem. They can't look at the sun. You can't take a telescope and look at the sun. Now you can use filters, yes, 100,000%. But the question or the issue with that is once you use any type of filter, it takes away an aspect of that reality, I guess you would call it. So if they use a sun filter and they can see that for some odd reason the outside of the sun is far hotter than the sun itself, they're not going to be able to see a planet because the way the filtration system works, blah 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 blah. So the idea of telling us, for instance, the distance, the way everyone thinks it's done, they don't use the sun to measure how far the sun is. They use a planet that they say is there, and then because the planet is this far and the observation seems to be this way, the sun must be 93,000 miles, a million miles away. The problem is that they themselves can't go, this is the sun, this is us, and this is exactly what's happening. Not the way it works.
Not only
I'm
that,
not
but
sure. I'm
there's
not exactly sure what you're. The first thing I would say, the flat Earth, because this is the thing. Some of this stuff that y'all are talking about, we years and I mean, do y'all think like over the thousands of years before you got here, somebody like we just missed it until you got here? That's I mean,
Oh no
no.
no no, hang on.
What has
But
happened?
go ahead.
I was just going to say what has happened over thousands of years. Literally, is there have been, whether it was a large or small group of people, they understood the system that we live in, or whatever you want to call it, whether it's a system or the creation, blah blah blah, whatever. They understood how it worked, and they basically hijacked it, took it over, so that they could pretty much control everything about it. It's as simple as that.
Or
And yes,
that might work with that. That may work within just our society, but we have access to other societies who also seemingly hadn't caught anything that y'all are talking about
okay,
over
my
thousands
question
of
is,
years.
okay,
we're,
and with that
we're,
said, Gary, how come when you're describing gravity, or when you're describing anything that we question, why don't you add in the fact that there are all these holes, or the facts that or these things that they don't understand? Why don't you talk about them? Because you just asked.
Well, I admit the things I know we don't understand. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. You're cutting in and out.
you're buffering.
Well, I actually,
Sorry
Madon's
not to
here.
cut you off. It's just there's plenty of things.
Yeah, I didn't even realize you was talking. What up,
Oh,
Madon?
yeah. There's plenty of things we don't know
No,
about
what's
gravity.
popping?
We don't know how to recreate gravity. We don't know how to block gravity. We don't
Because
know. I mean,
gravity is the result of a few different forces in action, if you will. I mean, that's, to me, that's kind of like the best way gravity is not a force unto itself.
oh yes, it
What
is.
you call gravity, no, it's not. Because
Yes, it is.
like
It's a weak force, but it is a force.
no, it is that. What if it's a weak force? Then how can it be so strong to hold all of these gazillions, trillions, billions of water called globe?
Because
But at the same time,
it has to
it's
do with the
general
mass
enough. No,
that
that's
it's
not
next
true,
to.
because now think about it. That's why they got pressure, and the deeper you go in the oceans, the more the pressure is, and basically it starts to
That's
crush
caused
shit. Okay, that's because
right.
of the
That's caused by
weight.
gravity.
That's because of what? Say what?
That's
So
because of the gravity.
that's
Gravity
because of
determines
gravity.
weight.
Okay,
Gravity
boom. Okay,
determines
no,
weight.
no, okay, boom. So
Wait,
you're
wait, wait,
saying
wait,
that
wait, wait.
that
So wait, are
no,
you
no, no.
telling
First of
no,
all,
Garrett?
he's saying that the volume of that water it weighs so much because of gravity.
Correct.
Okay, my question is this then:
and that's
Does that
and
does a
that's
200
incorrect.
pound man does a
Yeah,
200 pound
that's a
man
fact, bro.
not weigh 200 pounds in space?
In space, like with no gravitational pull on him?
No. So you weigh. I don't know if you weigh 200. Say you weigh 200 pounds.
No.
When you go to space,
Okay.
do you not weigh 200 pounds still, or all of a sudden you have no mass?
No, you have mass. You don't. Your weightlessness because you don't
No.
have any gravity acting upon your
Well, first
body.
of all, let's get one thing straight. Even for instance, the ISS, they don't experience weightlessness. It's not weightless. No such thing.
Well,
It's
That's
actually
because it's in orbit.
it's actually called something. It's called
there-
microgravity. There's no such thing as weightlessness in space. No such thing.
It's and
well,
that's
first of
what.
all, weight has no meaning without gravity. The equation for
Listen,
No,
weight
no.
has
See,
gravity.
you did it again.
So,
Okay,
see,
weight has no meaning if you have not interpreted or expressed a word for something. Because no matter what, if a 200-pound man goes to space, he weighs 200 pounds. Now, he may not feel the effects of 200 pounds, but that's also not because there's no gravity. That's because whatever force
it's not,
there's
you can't say that, Sean, because what you got to do before you can say that is go to space and put that 200-pound man on that scale. So until
well, I
then,
don't know how he's weighing him because when you
right.
come up with
you,
the calculation for how much something weighs, gravity is part of that equation. So
and
how are
Exactly.
you weighing
okay.
someone without the
Okay,
equation?
and I feel kind of bad because
so
I kind of looped lassoed you guys into this one. If that is the case, how did Einstein, how did Newton, how did all these people do it without ever being to space?
because
you
they
talking about?
used Einstein's special theory of relativity, which was created in order to make gravity work.
No, wait. We already
Yeah,
had the equation for gravity. We
How?
have the equation
and
for
it didn't
gravity.
work.
That's
And
the
it
law.
didn't work. It
No,
didn't
it does
work.
work. It works.
No, it
It
doesn't.
works every day. The equation for
But
gravity works
but
every
I
day.
can tell. But I
It
can
has
tell
not been proven incorrect once.
but
The
I can
Show
tell
me
universe.
the
gravity
point.
to grow
Give me an
screw itself
example.
The
with a
universe.
magnet.
The universe, the way the universe works, is a problem for gravity. It does not show gravity in the way they described, observably or data wise. Anyway, the universe is a confusing
Yes, it does.
situation to them.
Okay, so now here you go.
How
No,
do
no, no, no,
y'all?
no, no. Wait,
How
wait,
do
wait,
you
wait, wait.
determine weight
Gary, hold on.
in
No,
your?
Gary. Let's
What are
just
you using to
jump to this
determine
for a
weight?
second.
No, just so you
Listen,
understand, I only brought that up to ask you how Newton and Einstein and all these others before any space had even come up, how they were able to do all these things. How do they know that a lot of the effects of forces are based on how the universe with and without atmosphere work? You stated it to me a
They
thousand
didn't. They just
times.
said they guessed. And some
Exactly.
of the stuff they
Thank you.
just guessed.
Yeah, you're right. And so like I was saying before with
Mhm.
science is going to be biased upon its opinion of something. So if they guessed, they're going to ride with that until they can't.
No, they didn't. They didn't
they
guess.
made it up.
No, actually, they
It was
did.
tailored.
Galileo.
They
It was
didn't guess,
tailored.
man.
It was tailored. No, they didn't guess.
Well,
You're
hold
absolutely
on a
right. It
second.
was
No, they didn't
tailored.
guess.
No, hold on.
That knowledge was shared, man.
With
Let
who?
me ask you
Wait, wait,
something,
wait.
Gary.
Wait, no,
Let
wait.
me give you an
Gary.
example. Let me
Hold
give you an
on.
example. Galileo had the
That knowledge
experiment
is
that
ancient. That knowledge is
objects
ancient,
all.
man, about gravity, man.
Well, there's an observation in gravity that objects fall at the same rate, and we wasn't able to really test it until we were on the moon. But that observation was predicted before we ever went to the moon, where they dropped the feather and the hammer.
All
That
right.
was before we
Stop.
ever went
Stop.
there. We had
Stop.
already made that prediction, but it wasn't tested true until we were actually standing on the moon and we did the
All right.
experiment.
Whatever.
Now
And,
that has been
Gary.
recreated
Listen. No,
here
no, no,
on
no, no.
Earth
Hold on.
multiple times.
hang on, Gary. Just breathe, man.
Listen.
Breathe.
Hold on. Chill, Gary.
Yeah.
What is the rate of gravity if I'm standing in Norway?
I have no idea. I'm not in Norway.
You don't know the rate of gravity?
Well, most people don't. Some people know this.
It's
The
like
rate of
what
gravity, depending on
9.8 or whatever the case may be. Correct? Is that
well,
whatever it is? I believe it's 9.8.
well, Well, this one you do understand that the rate of gravity in specific areas of the Earth are a little bit different, right?
Now, wonder why that is.
Like
how can something how can
hold
how
on a
can how can gravity be so strong yet so weak and then be selective about how much it wants to pull on something here or there when the earth is supposed to be so big and it's a sphere and its core or whatever, it has this magnetism that's drawing everything towards its center. How can it be selective about how hard it pulls in this region as opposed to this region? So basically,
Bias.
what I was getting at.
Well,
So
hold on,
basically, that's because.
hold on. Let me
So
answer
basically,
that. Let me answer that for you real quick. There's always an aspect of gravity that most people will always tell you, and that's proximity
okay, to what, the center?
of mass. Correct. The further
Okay,
you're
so
away from the mass,
okay,
the gravity will be a little different than when you're closer.
pump the brake, pump the brake. Okay, now you're saying the proximity to the center of what?
Of mass. The
Okay,
center of whatever the mass is.
to the center of the mass of what?
Whatever object you're speaking of.
Okay, so what object are we speaking of?
You were speaking of the Earth. So
Okay, we're talking about.
Stop.
Okay, so we're talking about the Earth. Now we're talking about the proximity to the center of the mass of the Earth, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now you believe that the Earth is a sphere, true?
Obload spheroid, but yes.
Okay, regardless of the shape. Now, how wide in diameter is that so-called sphere, to your knowledge?
Oh.
We'll say 24,000 miles because you got to think about it. I want to say it's like 24,000 miles. I could be wrong, but we'll say 24,000 for the sake of argument. So we'll say that it's 24,000 miles. Right. Okay, so how can they actually confirm a core of something that's 24,000 miles thick, so to speak, and they've only been 8 miles deep? How do you even know that this core that they base everything off of as far as mass being attracted to the center of it exists and nobody's ever even seen it, been to it, measured it, touched it, tasted it? So how can you base all of this stuff on something that's not even known?
Well, no, we see the effects of it. That's the problem.
It's called nature. It's called studying nature, Dre.
Come on, brother.
Called studying nature, Dre. That's
I
what
don't
it
care.
was.
Listen, I don't care what kind of nature. Listen, no,
Dre,
wait. I don't care what kind of nature you're studying. If you're basing your measurements and your calculations and all this other neat stuff off of the center of the mass of an object that you've never been to the center of to confirm, everything else beyond the center of that object is complete bullshit, and it's not even real because nobody fucking knows.
Okay, Dre.
How can you even argue that?
Okay, Dre, the one thing I can tell you is, like you said, just like I said, we can see the effects of it. We witness the observations of the things that we're saying. That's why I was telling you, depending on where you're at, like if you're around the equator, you're going to weigh a little bit less than you would if you were in the United States.
And then that's not true because they've done.
True.
No, it's not true.
That is true.
The only thing that's gonna affect your weight on this plane that we call Earth is if you increase your altitude. And the reason that happens is because the gases start to leave your blood and whatever else happens as you increase altitude, and the nitrogen and all this other stuff starts to react, and you will weigh slightly less at the top of a mountain above a certain elevation than you will on the ground. Other than that, there is no such thing as you weighing more at the equator than you do at the North Pole, because if that were the fact, that you would be saying that that's a result of the gravity and the centrifugal force or whatever the case may be. And if that was actually true, then all the land masses would be coalesced around what you call the equator, because that's where they would be attracted to. If you weigh more at the equator, that means everything is being attracted to that equator because of the spin, and it's just not like that. That's pure bullshit.
I know y'all love to quote Neil deGrasse, but he in his famous pair little speech, he even tells you that the Earth is a little chubbier at the
bottom.
At the bottom, but it's broader at the equator.
Also, he says at the bottom.
At the bottom, right? It's chubbier at the bottom.
If you look at a
it's
pear,
a little wider in the middle.
Most people know what a pear looks like.
Right.
And a pear is narrow at the top and wide at the bottom.
Right. And
It's not a
see,
because it's
these are the
rotating.
multiple problems with flat Earth that y'all just don't have explanations. Like, why is air pressure more at the bottom than at the top on your plane? Because on our model, the reason air pressure is more when you get closer to the Earth is because gravitational pull, of course, pulling the air down, and it's lighter at the top. How does that work on the flat Earth? Why is air pressure different at the bottom than at the top?
The only reason why the air pressure would be different at the bottom as it would be at the top is because the air is comprised of different components, and they respond differently with altitude and with
What's the other
temperature.
component?
Say what?
What's the other component?
What do you mean? What's the other component?
You said air is comprised of different components. What are the other components?
Well, you got oxygen, you got nitrogen, you got what else is in there? Whatever else makes up air. I don't know the exact formula for it, but you have
So are
different.
You saying that the
You have
oxygen
different
and the
compound.
nitrogen,
You
the
have
oxygen
different.
and nitrogen is coalescing towards the bottom?
Why does helium float, Gary?
No,
hang on, Dre. Why does helium float? Why does helium rise?
Because it's a lighter element.
Here is a lighter element.
Okay.
Okay.
Gary, so
helium.
That
answers your question.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
air is heavy. Air
helium?
is heavier than the mass, quote unquote, than the nothingness of space. The ether is lighter than air. How about that? So it stays under it.
There's no such thing as an ether.
There's no such. Wait. Time out. There's no such thing as ether. So then, what's in space?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
What do you mean, what's in space? There's nothing in space.
Is it the perfect vacuum?
No, there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum.
Then there's something there. That means there's an ether. Ether is not a something. It is It is there. It's the fact that there is something there. What is ether?
What's an ether? What's an ether composed of?
See, this is
protons, photons.
You want me to tell you what's out? I'm gonna tell you what's out there, man.
Oh, jeez.
What it's called, man? It's called. Hey, believe it, accept it or not, this is what it is. It's called divine intelligence,
or
what we would call collective intelligence or organized intelligence. That's what it is, man.
Hey, you know what? Listen,
is what
real
light
quick.
is supposed to.
I'm not even on front. I can rock with you on that, Madonna.
So you're telling me light can't pass through space?
On some real shit, I can rock with you
on
that.
You're saying ether cannot pass through space? Or I'm sorry, light can
everywhere. It's the alpha, the omega. It's before you. It's behind you, beside you. It's in you. It's on top of you, under you. It's, you know what I'm saying? You breathe it in. You eat it. You drink it. You everything.
Does it have an identity of its own that doesn't rely being described by something else?
That's why you gotta keep it in the simplest form, man. You just gotta call it organized intelligence.
I'm sorry. Does it have an identity of its own that doesn't rely to be described by something else?
I can actually say no because I don't really understand it on that level, but I have like a basic concept of my own. That's how I view it. But at the same time,
so you have something that doesn't have its own identity.
Okay, but that statement can apply to gravity because gravity can, absolutely, because gravity, the things that make gravity what it is can be described from other forces, and then somebody slapped the label that, oh, this is gravity, this is the magic thing that makes everything work, and it's bullshit. Gravity is not a standalone force. It can't be weak and strong at the same time. It can't be selective and non-selective gravity and everything that it can that has a mass lesser than it, drawing it to its center. It doesn't work that way. And if that were the case, no, hold on, slow down. Because if that were the case and the Earth is a sphere, whether it's perfect or not, it's going to draw everything to its center. That means a plumb bob wouldn't work. Skyscrapers would be tapered. They would be, you know what I'm saying? They would be fatter at the top and skinnier at the bottom. That's what you have. Like when you take a typical sphere or radius or circle, whatever you want to call it, it has degrees and it makes little pie slices. Anything that's above the perimeter of that pie is going to have a natural wedge shape because it's being pulled to a point in the center. It has to taper. The shit's ridiculous, and you guys believe this shit and try to back it and describe it like it's real.
everything with mass has a gravitational pull. You are confusing the fact that hold on a second. It has to do with the size of the object and the proximity of you to that object. So
Okay,
the
so
the
then
reason you think gravity is still a weak force, the reason why it seems like a strong force to you is because you are comparing
it doesn't seem like a
a.
strong force to me
Hold
because it's not a
on,
force
hold
to
on.
me.
I'm almost there. We're almost there. The
All right.
reason why it seems like a strong force is because if you compare gravity on a massive object like a planet compared to Dre's gravitational pull by himself, because Dre, you have your own gravitational pull. Yours is much weaker than the planet. So the planet's gravitation is the same as yours. It's just it has more
Okay.
mass.
Okay, I get it. So now you're telling me that if I decide to be adventurous and I want to go climb Mount Everest, the closer I get to the face of Mount Everest is eventually it's just going to pull me in and make me stick to it. That thing is a billion times larger than me. It should have such a pull on me, my little ass mass compared to it. It should suck me to the face of that damn mountain and splat my ass all over the place. And then
If it's
you're
No,
not,
man,
telling me
you got it confused, Dre.
no, no. It's a massive object, and
Because
it eclipses the
you trying
mass
to
of my
compare
body. He's telling me,
something
no,
you
no,
trying
no,
to
no, no, no,
compare
no, no, no,
something that's in
no, no, no,
space to something that's
no,
on
no.
Earth. You're not gonna be able to
No.
duplicate.
He compared it to me. He said that even me, little Dre, 180
has a
pounds,
gravitational
has
pull.
a gravitational pull. So
That's
You
something
are
correct.
that
correct.
okay, so something the size of Mount Everest, which eclipses me in mass, it eclipses me in weight, it eclipses me in size, it eclipses
It's
me in
because
its
it's on the Earth
footprint.
with you, Dre. So it's not gonna have that effect, man. It's not in
Okay,
space
No,
like a
so then
planet
no.
is.
how?
What?
Okay, no,
Hold on,
stop. No,
hold
so
on. He's
how?
actually right. No,
So
you're
how
right,
can
Dre.
my body? So how can my body have a gravitational pull, and that mountain doesn't?
The mountain
I didn't say
does.
the mountain didn't. I didn't say it
Okay,
didn't. I
okay.
said
Well, oh, okay, chill, madam. Okay, chill for a second. So, okay, you said it does now, uh, according to the way that gravity works, and more massive objects attract smaller objects, obviously against their will, so to speak. How come every time I go near something like a massive structure such as a mountain, it doesn't pull me in against my will, and that's how gravity works. That's how you
No, wait,
explain
wait.
gravity.
You're missing the one thing. You and the
What's that?
mountain are you and the mountain are both next to a larger gravitational field, the Earth.
exactly.
And so if that's the case, then how does my little body have a gravitational field? It's being
It's being
eclipsed, or
over.
no?
Yes, it's being eclipsed by the Earth's
Yeah.
gravity.
Okay, so then how do I
You are
have a
correct
gravitational field, or
because you
whatever
have
you said?
mass. Because you have mass.
Okay,
Everything with mass has a gravitational pull.
so basically you're saying that the only reason why that mountain is stuck to the surface of the Earth is because the gravity's pulling it toward the center.
You got it.
That's a fact. That's a fact, Jamie. That's a fact.
Okay, no, wait, no, chill. So if that's the case, in the instance of a volcano, now a volcano has a magma chamber or whatever. You know how they get down or whatever. Now that has a mass. How does that eruption occur if that gravity is strong enough to suck that mountain to the surface, but yet it's gentle enough to let that magma go up and see what's happening with the clouds?
Wait a minute. The magma goes up, right? Does it always come right back down?
Yeah, and that's a product of
That's
density
gravity. That's
because that
gravity
magma.
constantly
No,
working on it. You
that is
can
density.
temporarily overcome the force of gravity, but it's
Listen, listen,
constantly,
listen.
constantly
That's
working.
density. That's a product of density.
And you
If
How
gotta
does
every
understand,
density?
no,
Dre,
listen, no,
you're dealing
listen,
with a chain
no, and I'm gonna tell
reaction.
you no, and I'm
A
gonna tell
chain
you
reaction
why,
is
and I'm gonna
going
tell
on
you
when that
why. I'm gonna tell you why
volcano
it's a
erupts,
product
man.
of density. Now, when a volcano erupts, it puts out magma, it puts out ash, it puts out gases. Does
Mhm.
gravity pull those gases to the ground?
Yes, it does.
Does gravity pull those gases to the ground?
Yes, it does. Anything that occupies space is affected by gravity.
So all that carbon dioxide and all that bullshit
Mhm.
that it spews, you're telling me it pulls that to the ground?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so now how come every time a volcano erupts, like whether it's Kilauea or any one of these other volcanoes that have been erupting all over the planet, how come everybody that lives in within like a 30,000-mile radius of those mountains aren't dying from what would basically be the equivalent of you going in your garage and turning on the car and huffing on the damn exhaust pipe?
Well, first of all, the carbon monoxide and stuff that's being released into the atmosphere is being released into the massive atmosphere of the planet and then being dissipated
Okay,
in the
so
air.
like I said to you earlier, then obviously the gravity is not pulling those gases down to the ground because they are lighter than the air that they are existing in at the moment. They
The problem is,
so they rise to the top. Now, in the instance of the
wait, hold
magma,
on. The
no, I'm
problem,
gonna no no no
hold
no,
on.
I'm
The
gonna make
problem
my
is
point.
the
I'm gonna
air
make
that
my
it's
point.
dissipating in is also being pulled down.
Gary, how is the air being pulled down? The air works the air works thermodynamically. The
Hold
hotter
on.
air.
I thought we just went over this. I was asking you why air pressure is stronger on the bottom than it is on the top.
Dre.
And I never got a chance to answer that. I started to, but then it went somewhere else. And like I
Hey,
told you
hey,
before,
Dre.
it's
Before you,
because elements have different characteristics as they rise and fall. And whether you agree with it or not, and I know you don't, the Earth is a closed system. Bottom line.
Dre.
So there is going to be some inherent
No.
pressure. Yes.
If the Earth, hold on. If the Earth was a closed system, then how is it avoiding entropy?
Because the system is designed to work as an enclosed system. There's no
Right,
need
but
for
how is it
there's
avoiding
no need
entropy?
there's no need for it to draw any type of energy from an external source because everything is self-contained. It's kind of like
How? I'll
like
ask
what?
again. How is it avoiding entropy?
What do you mean by entropy?
How does the system keep from wearing down?
Because it's a system that runs on cycles. Do you know what a terrarium is?
Yes, I know what a terrarium is, but once again, a
Okay.
terrarium usually has a glass top that lets in sunshine, just like our planet does. But
Okay.
you said
Okay.
it's
So now,
closed.
okay,
You
yeah,
said it's
absolutely,
closed,
absolutely.
right? So closed means nothing comes into it. So what is prevented? How does it prevent itself from running down?
Because the system is designed to function as a closed system. It doesn't need any external support, if you will. Everything that it needs to be a continuous system, as long as the chemistry is kept, it is going to function the way it was intended to function. Even when the chemistry is a little off, it's still going to function, but it's not going to function the way that it was supposed to. Eventually, could it die out and experience entropy because it's not being treated properly and taken care of? Absolutely. That could be a
All
possibility.
all systems are affected by entropy. So the question is, in the closed system that we apparently you believe that we're in, does this system create energy, or does it somehow run without using energy?
It creates energy in the process of basically recycling
So
the
so it
elements
breaks the
within
first
it.
law. So it breaks the first law of physics. Okay,
How does it break
that's
the
one.
first law of physics?
Energy can't be created or destroyed. So you have a system that creates energy.
Okay, so obviously I'm one that believes in the creator. So yes, the creator can create energy. Obviously, somebody created this energy that runs all the things that we experience. That energy had to come from somewhere, and it certainly ain't the Big Bang. That's just some helio psychic or whatever wet dream of what they wanted to be because they don't believe in a creator. That's what that's about. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not religious. So now, as far as
yeah.
that energy,
I understand you're not religious, but how exactly is can you give me an example of energy being created?
when I say energy being created, what I was really referring to, and I'll clarify it because it may be a bit, misinterpreted the way that I say it. When I say the energy being created, I'm talking about as far as the cycle, like with the sun, that's concerned. The sun is a part of the cycle, just like the moon is a part of the cycle, or whatever the case may be. The energy is produced by the sun. The sun, it sets off like a chain reaction. The sun does its thing, photosynthesis has occurred, evaporation occurs, the vapor rises, it condenses, it falls, it does its
Wait a
thing, it
minute, but
filters.
you just said the Earth was a closed system.
Yes, absolutely.
But
You
how's it
can't
getting
you
its
can't
energy?
have.
How is it getting its energy from the sun if it's closed?
What do you mean? How is it getting energy from the sun? Ener-
This,
exactly. It's like the sun is
yeah,
not something.
that's fine. Once again, the sun is not part of. Are you saying the sun is part of the earth? It's
The
inside.
sun the sun is a part of the system, whether it's physically within the system or whether it's a projection of a source somehow that is reflected into the system. It's still a part
How
of the
big is this?
system.
How big is the sun?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, from what I understand, and this is basically off of like information because I haven't really been on it too tough lately. But for the most part, I would say that the sun is within, I'd say, 7 to 10,000 miles of the surface, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I'd say it's probably just over 3 to 4 miles in diameter, somewhere in that neighborhood, something
Gary,
like
What
that,
Gary, hang on, Gary,
within the
Gary.
what
Let me
system.
ask
powers
you,
Now,
Gary.
whether
what
Let me,
powers this sun?
okay,
Gary.
well,
Let
if
me
it,
ask you a
and hold on,
question.
Small ass sun.
No, hang on, both. Gary,
you
hang on. I want to
gotta
ask
let
him
me
a question real quick. Gary, what? How big is the sun to you? How
listen.
big is the sun to the science?
Right, because I'm gonna use that
In
to just
science, the
smash
sun
it
is
with
like what
gravity.
1,000 times bigger than the damn Earth. I mean,
No, no, no. Wait,
Okay,
no,
yeah, well,
no, nope. Wait, time
chill,
out.
chill, chill. No,
How
no,
do
wait,
they know
listen.
that? Seeing how they can't look at the sun to tell how big it is. That's my question.
Sean, not only that, but how come the sun isn't pulling the Earth into it, just like the Earth
Exactly.
should be pulling the moon into it? But
we
yet
are
gravity,
orbiting. Wait a minute,
but
but
gravity's
you're
general
orbiting
enough.
the sun. You are orbiting the sun. The sun is pulling you.
You're
Okay.
orbiting the sun. You're saying the sun is pulling you, but it's strong enough to hold like Jupiter in an orbit around it, but yet it's gentle enough not to pull Earth in, which is so close compared to
No,
Jupiter that it's
no,
ridiculous.
hold
Right,
on,
Like, come on,
see,
hold
man.
on,
because see,
hold on,
the thing
hold
about
on.
it is
It
this,
is
man.
pulling you.
The Most High, they're dancing,
Ah,
man.
here we
They're in
go.
a
Stop it.
dance. That's
Stop
what's
it,
going on,
Madon.
man.
Madon, stop it.
Hey, I'm just keeping it a buck.
Okay,
That's what it is.
That's worth a buck.
it's hard to talk to y'all
Yeah,
about.
you can bet your bottom dollar, basically. You know what I'm saying? You can bet your bottom
It's hard
dollar
to speak to y'all about the sun and everything because the way y'all understand thermodynamics and everything is just so strewed. It's
No,
very hard.
it's
Right.
It
Hey,
would take
Drake,
me a
I
while
want
to
to ask Drake.
explain to you that how energy works. Having the sun be extremely small is problematic because it would have ran out of light by now. And then you'd have to explain where it's getting its light from and how it's because the smaller the sun is, the less you're going to get from it.
Hey, Drake, let
Eventually,
me ask you
it would
something.
run down faster if it's the size you say it is. It would have been gone.
what do you mean it would have been gone?
Because of do you understand? The problem is you
They would
don't
have been
understand what
gone.
entropy. Yeah, you don't understand what entropy is.
No, I do, but I keep asking you to explain what it is because I want to see what you mean by it, and you keep basically telling me that it's gonna die off because there's nothing to basically replenish it. It's like one of
Correct.
those.
Correct.
You're basically saying it's
That is
not
the
self-sustained. That's all you're saying. It's not
there's
self-sustained.
there's nothing that's self-sustained. There's no such thing as perpetual energy or perpetual motion.
Yes, it is, and we exist in it every day. The Earth is a perpetual motion,
No,
perpetual energy, whatever you want to
no,
call it.
sir. That
Yes, it is
perpetual
absolutely.
motion machines, perpetual energy is impossible due to
No,
entropy.
it's not because there's a
You just
fountain.
got
I forget.
perpetual light.
Well, no. Hold on. No. Yes, it is not impossible. Now there's a fountain, and you can make one with two water bottles and a straw. I forget what the name of the fountain is, but basically, when you put this thing together and you do it properly and you seal it properly, you can pour water into it, and the way that it works with the water pressure, the capillary action, and the air pressure or whatever, the damn thing runs by itself with no pump. It can't bring water up to some massive height or whatever because it's not that powerful, but it actually runs all by itself with nothing being added to it, no pump, no nothing. A fucking pump that circulates
Right.
water
No,
from the
hold on.
top to the
But you
bottom
did add something to it.
continuously.
Hold on.
You added
Yes.
the two.
Hold on. I know exactly what you're talking about. The problem is that system will run for a while and then it will stop. and then it
Listen,
has to have more energy put into the system so it
and
continues
do
to
you know
run.
why? But do you know why? And I'm gonna tell you
Yes,
exactly
because
why.
of entropy.
No,
Entropy
because
will
Not
eventually
okay, now
self-sustaining.
let's
slow
stop. No,
it
no, no, stop,
down.
stop, stop. Listen, now what you're calling entropy in this case would be actually would be called evaporation. Now, as the water
No,
evaporates,
no,
yes,
sir.
it is. It is evaporation because as the water evaporates, just that minute change in the water level breaks the siphon, and then it
No.
doesn't work anymore. Now,
Okay,
and then no, stop. Now, in a closed
I'm trying
system,
to think of how to
you don't
explain this to
you
you.
don't have vapor or water loss because it's in a closed system. It
You won't
rises
be
to
able
the
to,
top,
Gary.
it condenses, and then it turns into water. It drops down to the ground. It filters through the ground. It returns to the oceans. It evaporates from the ocean, turns into a gas form. It rises to the
Okay,
top, condenses. It falls to the bottom, and it's a continuous cycle. And what aids that partly is the sun because it heats everything up. It causes the convection, and it keeps the system working.
okay, Dre. I think I know how I can explain this to you. Okay, so
All
this
right.
this is how you can understand. I want you to understand what entropy is, so that you understand. You have
Okay.
two glasses. Okay,
Mhm,
you have two cups. One is filled with water. One is empty.
mhm.
The system you're talking about, the water should be able to go from one glass to the other, back and forth, forever. You can always transfer the water from one glass to the other glass, over and over, right?
Quick question is: are these glasses you're talking about side to side, or are they on top of each other?
At this point, it doesn't matter. They're just two
Okay.
empty.
All
One's
right.
empty,
Okay.
one's filled
All
with
right. Okay.
water.
I got you. I got you.
One's
I
filled
got
with
you.
water,
I
and
got
you
you.
can pour the water from one glass to the other
Okay.
forever, right? And you can just sit there and keep pouring the water back and forth forever, right? That's what a perpetual motion machine would claim, that water can be transferred from point A to point B forever, and you will never run out of water. The
Hmm.
problem is that you're the person pouring the water back and forth, and eventually you're going to need water. So you have to take a little sip of water every hour. How much water do you think? How long do you think you will have water?
You're not gonna have water long at all.
Right, because you are entropy. Every time you take a
Yeah,
skip, you
you're a
are entropy.
drain on the
You're
system. Yes, you're a drain on the
correct,
system.
and that's
Okay,
in
I listen.
every system.
I totally understand what entropy is and how it works. But what I'm telling you and what you're failing to realize is that the system that the creator created for us to experience doesn't have what you call entropy as a part of it. It's not in
Can
its
you give?
protocol. It's not in its
Hold on,
protocol.
hold on. Listen, that's the problem. There is no system that does not experience entropy. Can you give me an
Okay,
example of one?
Earth.
Earth does not. Earth experiences entropy. We already know this.
If Earth experiences entropy, first of all, it would be either two things. It would be a part of the natural cycle, which means even though something is dying, it's being replenished or replaced. That's how the
Uh-huh.
natural system works. Now, the other form of entropy would be something that's man-made or man-introduced, where these psychopaths are doing what they do in order to screw the system up, which would cause entropy because it's draining from the system or whatever you want to call it. So yes, in that aspect only do I agree with entropy being a part of this system that we call Earth. Other than that, no dice.
Okay, let me tell you the problem that you don't seem to understand. Our system is predicated on one thing for our ecosystem to work, and that is sunlight. Now, if anything was to
No,
And
happen
you're
to
it's
wrong.
it's
You are
hold on
ecosystem.
a second.
absolutely
It's
wrong.
it's
If hold
it's
on, hold on a second.
Absolutely
ecosystem.
wrong.
Hold on a second. If something happened to the sun, say the sun went supernova like suns do, then there's no sun anymore, and then
That's
what would
what you're
happen to the
told.
ecosystem?
That's what you're told.
No,
I don't believe for a minute that that sun that we see in the sky, the natural one anyway, will ever experience what's called a supernova. That's a part of that damn believe in space bullshit porn. We want you
that
to be
that's
afraid of
that's
annihilation at any
fine.
given moment. It's not
Any
real.
given moment, you'll be long dead before the sun gets anywhere near a supernova.
But the point that
Yeah,
I but the
the
point
bottom
that
line
I'm
is,
making
if
the
you have
point
no
that I'm
sun, you have
making
no world.
no, that's not
There you go.
necessarily true. No, that's not
That's a
That
fact.
is
necessarily
true.
true.
That's a
No,
fact.
no, I don't think
You
so.
think
That's not necessarily
you
true.
think you're going to
No,
have
man.
plants and heat on this planet with no sun?
Well, for the system that I'm aware of and how it functions, there is something that would be referred to as the inner sun. So even though life on the surface wouldn't necessarily be a possibility because you think that photosynthesis and things like that wouldn't occur, life would still exist. It wouldn't fail to survive or whatever. That's one of those things that, like I said, it's a part of the indoctrination that they pump into your head because they want you to think that you're a part of this mishap, that you just happen to get lucky enough to be born and you live on this rock floating through space. But the catch is, we can be annihilated at any time from an asteroid, or there is a possibility that one day some advanced civilization is going to come here and blow us all up and take over and whatever. It's all bullshit.
I
Right,
don't
but
know
see,
who
they
told
just
you
tell
any
you
of
that.
that.
They just tell
Mhm.
you
It's
that
very,
to
it's very
keep
rare
you
when we
away
get
from the
hit by
Most High.
any. Yeah,
That
it's
that,
very
that
rare
sun
you'll
ain't
get
gonna never
hit by.
supernova.
Well, of course it does. Sun goes supernova all the time, but I wouldn't worry about the sun going supernova. You better worry about the Andromeda galaxy running into our ass. That's what's supposed to happen first.
Yeah,
In case you
they're
were
supposed
wondering.
to collide. They're supposed to collide. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
that's the first thing.
it's
Now,
not gonna
even if
happen.
hold on, even if that happened before that was supposed to, before say we don't get hit by the Andromeda galaxy, the next thing would be the moon leaving orbit, and then the sun going supernova.
See, this is another thing. Now, like gravity is strong enough to keep it locked in orbit all this time, but now it's getting weaker and weaker, and it's slowly going further away. But yet, you have a sun that's you know however billion million times larger than the moon, and the earth lets it go, but the sun's not strong enough to capture it. But yet the sun's gravitational pull is supposed to attract everything lesser than its mass to its center.
Hey, well, I'm gonna tell you
like
like this.
Well,
like
wait a
come
minute. Well,
on,
Hey, I'm
hold
gonna
on
tell
a
you
second.
like this.
Listen, it has to do with the space that you occupy around the massive object. I don't know how y'all keep missing that. Y'all think the thing that's pulling you in is the mass. No, it's the effect that the mass has on the space that your body is occupying.
Okay, so then if that
That's a
if
fact.
that's the case, then how did all of these so-called bodies in space commingle and get together in the first place?
What are you talking about commingle? You talking about where where the dust and the
How did
rocks
how
and the
did
particles
how
coalesce?
Yeah, exactly.
To,
How did something the size of a softball attract a golf ball size item? And then how did something the size of a football field attract the thing that's the size of a house? How did the thing that's the size of the building attract the thing that's, it's like, how,
hold on, hold
how
on,
does,
hold on, hold on.
how does all this stuff work?
Okay, the
I'm gonna
more
tell you
the
how.
more the more the rocks and the dust and the other particles got together, they start to coalesce and
And the
they
gravity
start to
gets
create.
stronger.
Right, correct. Every
Okay.
time something gets added, it gets a
It
little
gets
bit stronger,
stronger.
a little bit stronger, stronger until you have your massive gravitational field, which is because you have
Hmm.
all those objects clumped
Okay. Okay.
together,
Okay. 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 Okay.
occupying
Okay.
one part of space.
Okay, now, so at what point in time does that object and its gravity say that, you know what, I'm full, I got the itis, I don't want to collect no more shit. I'm gonna just let it hang around me because I need some company while I got the itis. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
No, no, the same
let
thing
me
keeps
tell you this.
happening. The gravity is still attracting things. That's why your ass is still stuck to it because you're still being attracted to
No, the
all
reason
the
why
things that
my
have
ass is
correlated.
stuck to my chair is because my
Hey,
ass is
Dre.
more dense than the air that surrounds me, and I'm not dense enough to go through the floor. Now, if I
Hold
was
on,
Dre.
something,
Hey, Dre,
hold on.
check this out.
Let me ask you
Dre,
something.
check
You
it
keep
out.
saying that
Check it out, Dre.
you keep bringing up the air that's around you. If we
mhm,
eliminate the air that's around you, then what
mhm,
happens?
the same thing's
Dre.
gonna happen.
That's the so the
I'm
air
gonna
Hey,
so
let
the
me.
fall.
air
Hey,
that
I'm gonna ask
around
you
you
a
has
question real
no
Hold on,
quick.
now
bearing on
chill,
it.
chill. What do you say, Gary?
So that means the air that's around you has no bearing on your whether you're going up or down. If you can eliminate it, then it does the exact same thing. It plays no part.
No, when you have like air pressure, it's gonna play with the object that's falling, and it's gonna change the rate that it's falling. Now,
So,
when you remove the air pressure, when you remove the air pressure, yes, both items may fall at the same rate, but the density is determining when they stop. Now, because those items are less dense than the floor or whatever that they land on, they stop. If they were more dense, meaning if they were heavier and they were just more chock full of material, meaning they're more dense, they're going to go through that floor if that floor is not as dense as the object that fell to it. It's as simple as that. Whether the air pressure is present or not, it doesn't matter. It's all about the density of the resting surface that the item lands on. That's what it's about.
Hold on a second.
Are you serious?
Now, hold on. Now you've changed, because at first you didn't say it was the rest. Now you're saying it's the object that it rests upon, instead of saying the air that's around you, because we've eliminated the air around you.
Listen to me.
It plays
Yes.
no factor
Gary.
in objects going towards the earth.
It does play a factor because there's this thing
What
called
factor
air
does it play?
resistance. It's called air resistance. Okay, now listen to me closely. When air resistance is a part of the equation, objects are going to fall to the ground at different rates. When air resistance is not in the equation, objects will fall at the same rate, but they will stop on the same surface unless they are more dense than the surface they land on. If they're more dense than the surface that they land on, they're going to continue to travel until they hit something that's more dense than it, and it can no longer travel downward. That's how density works.
Hold on.
You don't understand that?
Hold on. The problem is that whether there's air pressure or there's no air pressure, all the objects still fall down no matter what, right?
Right, because they're seeking their final resting place.
Hold on. So the air pressure has no bearing on objects falling down. How could it?
Air pressure? No, I didn't say. I didn't say air pressure has. It has no. Listen, it has no effect on the pull or the actual action of the item falling to the ground. It has a resistance factor. I understand how this works. Whether I'm making that clear, I understand that air pressure is not causing the movement of the item that's falling. The air pressure is offering resistance. When you remove the air pressure, whether it's a part of the equation or not, those items are going to continue to fall until they reach something that's more dense than them, and it prevents their ability to travel lower. They finally found their final resting place through the density scale.
Hold on. Okay, so we got the air pressure, we got the air out of the way. Air has nothing to do with things going down. So are you saying that density determines things to go down?
I don't want to. This is kind of tricky, and I don't know if I can explain it the way that it should be explained. But I will say it like this: the density, it's not necessarily creating a force that's pulling the object down, but just because of the nature of density and how it works, the object has no choice but to fall down. It's like by proxy, it has no choice but to fall until it reaches something that is more dense than it.
Why?
What do you mean why?
That requires an explanation. You said objects have to or forced to go down. Why?
Absolutely, because that's where the foundation is. Everything resides on that foundation. And this is what people are taking this action along with other forces, and they're trying to call it gravity, and that's just not.
Hold on, wait a minute. That's where the foundation is. That's why things go towards it, because
absolutely,
because that's where the ground is.
Absolutely, just like what. And that's one of the reasons why they give you this heliocentric crap, and they tell you there's no such thing. Listen, that's why they tell you.
The reason we give you gravity and
you gotta let me finish the comment or the thought. The reason why that they say that is because with the heliocentric model, there is no such thing as up and down, and they need that in order to explain gravity. When in all actuality, yes, there is a such thing as up and down. And things naturally go down according to their density, and things naturally go up according to their density.
No, they don't.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Name one thing that doesn't respond on a density scale according to its properties or makeup. One thing. Tell me one thing that's light or heavy that doesn't respond the way that it should on a density scale. One thing, whether it's a fluid,
helium.
Helium is lighter than oxygen. Or nitrogen.
Okay. Right.
So it has to rise to the top.
Hold on a second. No. Helium is responding to air pressure. But if we eliminate air pressure, helium falls
No,
just like, hold on. If you eliminate air pressure, helium falls just like everything else.
because you're eliminating the elements that make up the air. It's not because of the pressure. You're eliminating the
Then why
chemicals.
the hell did
You're
it
eliminating
fall then?
you're eliminating
Once
the
again,
oxygen, you're eliminating the nitrogen. So the helium has nothing to say that, oh, I'm more dense than you or less dense than you. When you remove the air, for instance, i.e. in a vacuum
well,
chamber,
the
the helium,
only reason
you don't
helium
want to
balloons,
learn.
hold on, the only reason helium balloons
Man, Dre, you
rise
lost,
in air
man.
pressure is due to buoyancy, which
Right.
has gravity in the equation for buoyancy. You cannot
No,
have buoyancy
listen.
without gravity.
Gravity is not a part of buoyancy. Buoyancy is a real
Yes, it
thing.
is.
Gravity is one of these magical things that they like to tag along to everything to explain these other forces that they don't want you to understand are
No,
actually.
sir.
Yes, sir.
No. Once again,
So, like,
we have
listen, like I said,
hold on. We have explanation for things like you said buoyancy, and I understand buoyancy and how the
buoyancy
air
and
pressure
density.
causes. Right. But buoyancy, the equation for buoyancy requires gravity to be part of that equation. Without it, you do not
Listen,
get buoyancy.
listen.
It
No,
makes no
if you want to
sense.
be,
That's
if you
a
want to be
fact, Gary.
technical, no, whatever. Without a container, you can't have buoyancy. How about that?
No. See, this is the problem. This
What?
is the problem. Hold
What?
on. Hold on. See, buoyancy without gravity, the balloon, the air pressure could literally push the balloon down instead of pushing it up. But since gravity is part of the equation, it always will push the balloon up
Gary,
in
it's
buoyancy.
not the air pressure, it's the chemical makeup of the air.
No,
And the
no, sir.
helium, the
It has to
helium
do.
has nothing. Listen, Gary, the helium is contained within the balloon. Okay, so that the helium in the balloon is rising. The balloon is not actually rising. The only reason why the balloon is rising is because the balloon is containing the helium within it. Okay, now that's happening because the helium is lighter than the air that's surrounding the balloon. Now, if you remove that air that's surrounding the balloon, the helium has no air to say, okay, I'm lighter than this air or I'm heavier than this air. So it
No.
has nothing. Yeah.
Where have you ever did that test
So
at?
naturally it
Oh
falls.
my God.
So
No,
naturally it
there's
falls to the
nothing.
bottom.
Hold on. There's nothing pushing on the balloon. The balloon is being
See,
pushed out of the damn air pressure. It's being squeezed on all sides and pushed upwards. It is the force. It's just like a basketball underwater.
no, it's
When
not.
you take a yes, it is. It's the exact same thing. If you take a
Listen,
basketball,
Gary,
if you take a basketball filled with air and push it underwater, it pushes
hmm
itself back up. That's the
right.
exact same thing the helium balloon is doing
Now, it's
on the
just like,
ground when
okay,
surrounded by air pressure. The
Gary,
exact same
it's
thing.
just
You
like
getting cut? You
a
getting cut
bubble.
tonight, Dre?
It's
Dre, you
just
getting cut tonight,
Madon,
bro?
sit down. It's just like a
Yeah,
bubble. Even though the bubble itself could be the basketball, it's the air that's in the basketball that's rising because it's less dense than the water that it is inside. So whether you
Right.
have
The
a
water
basketball,
pressure is
listen.
pushing.
So whether you have a basketball or a bubble, naturally it's gonna rise to the surface because the air contained within the structure, whether the skin is made of rubber in the case of a basketball, or whether that skin is made of the pressure that's around the air bubble that's trying to escape because it has to rise. It has nothing to do with air pressure. It's buoyancy, and you debunked it
It
yourself
has
because
every
the same
no. It
thing,
has
the
everything to do
same
with air
force,
pressure.
the same force that you're describing that supposedly is pushing this basketball up to the surface is the same force that's responsible for making that helium balloon go up into the atmosphere. Is because the air that's in the basketball is lighter than the water that's surrounding it, and the same
You've
thing with the
already
helium
answered your
balloon.
question, Dredd. You answered it when we first started talking, when you told me that
Man,
water pressure is stronger at the bottom of the ocean than it is at the top. And then I asked you why is air pressure stronger on the bottom than it is at the top. And
Gary,
now we're talking about a helium balloon, and you have the exact same effect. The air pressure
Gary,
is stronger at the bottom. The balloon is being pressed up to where the pressure is
why?
lowest at the
Why?
top.
Listen, Nate, tell me why the pressure at the bottom of the water is higher.
The pressure, because water is being pulled down by gravity, of
No,
course.
you're wrong.
Gravity is caused.
That's
Yes,
no,
it is.
you're wrong. The reason why that water has so much pressure at the bottom is because you have so much weight of the water that's sitting above that.
Weight
That's
is
what
determined
listen,
by gravity.
Gary. Yeah, but no, Gary, you're saying that that water is heavy because gravity's pulling it down and it
Correct.
has pressure at the bottom, and that's not true. The reason why
That is
water
true.
the reason that water has pressure at the bottom is because of the sheer weight of all the water that's sitting on the top. It's called
The
compression.
weight is determined by
No, it's
gravity.
not.
What is
No, it's not.
okay? Then what's compressing it then?
It's weight.
What's compressing it?
The weight
What's
of the
pressing
water.
Right, but what's pressing the water?
The weight of the water is pressing
The weight.
itself.
I understand the water has weight because something is pressing it. But what's
No,
pressing
nothing's pressing it. The
Nothing's
water,
pressing it.
the water is sitting basically in a basin, and the water is so heavy because there's so many miles of water sitting on tops of miles of water that
So
water
what's
has
keeping the water
weight
from
to it.
what's keeping the water from just coming out then?
What do you mean, from like
Why is it?
escaping or pouring off the
Yeah.
edge, like you guys like to
No,
say?
no. What's keeping the water from going up? Period.
At the bottom of like the ocean?
Yeah. Why doesn't it go up?
There's several reasons. You got different salinities where some of the water is heavier because the salt content is greater. You got the colder
Why
water
would
that's
that keep it from going up?
say what?
Why would that keep it from going up?
Because that's just a natural way that water and temperatures work. When water is cold, it sinks to the bottom, just like the air. When the air is cold, it
It's
sinks
just
to the bottom and the
it's
heat rises.
no. There's explanations for why that happens. It has to do with the density of molecules. The fact that hot molecules move a little bit faster than cold molecules, but
Okay, but that's not something that's going to prevent that water from rising. The reason why that specific water doesn't rise is because of its salinity content and the temperature of the water. That's how you get the Gulf Stream and all these water currents that move the way that they do. That all operates off of salinity and temperature.
well, no, but that's not what's preventing them from going up, though.
What do you mean
You
by
haven't
going
actually.
up? Are
You
you
have
talking? Wait, hold on,
what
because I might be
what
misunderstanding you.
dictates?
Listen,
Okay,
listen.
what
When
dictates which direction things go?
as far as the cardinal direction of up and down,
Cardinal direction of up and down, left or right. What dictate which way things will go and which way they won't go? What dictates that? How did you determine that it's going to go down? Based on what?
because according to its density, it can only go up or down. Density can't make
How
things
does
go left and
density?
right.
How does density
Or
dictate
buoyancy,
direction?
density and buoyancy. Density and buoyancy can only dictate up and down, vertical.
No. Hold on. How does density, just density alone, dictate direction?
Okay, and I'm trying to tell you that density cannot dictate direction. As far as I'm concerned, density can only say whether it's going to go up or down. It can't do left and right. It can only go up or down. So if
Okay.
that's what you refer to as directions, yeah, those are the only two directions that it has an effect on.
Okay, so how does density dictate up or down?
According to the weight of the item compared to its surrounding, whether it's the air or whether it's the floor that it's sitting on.
So density dictates the weight of the thing, right?
Density dictates the weight.
Yes.
No, I think things weigh what they weigh. Density doesn't dictate the weight of anything.
Density doesn't dictate the weight. So what dictates how much something weighs?
When people create things like scales and they make increments that say this represents 1 pound, this represents 6 ounces. So somebody made that system up and then they put something on it so they can keep track of weights and measures. That's a system that's created. That's not a natural thing. That you can create any kind of system of weights and measures.
Right, but how did they dictate what the weight is? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Because they created a system in order for them
Right,
to
but
measure it.
yes, but the system is based off of something, right? Like I know myself personally, I know the system is based off of an equation that actually uses gravity, but you're saying it's not gravity. So I'm trying to figure out how does your equation puts in density, because I don't know of an equation that has
I don't
density
have an
in it to
equation.
dictate
I don't
weight.
have an equation. To me, a lot of these equations are just things that they made up in order to make their nonsense make sense to people that don't know no better. And then when you start looking into it, a lot of the
Well,
stuff don't make sense.
well,
That's what
the
equations
equation can
are.
be well. No,
Equations give
equations are
people the
mathematical
ability to make them work.
representations. Hold on, creations are mathematical representations of reality. Just like if I have one pen and then I have two pens, those are just basic mathematic observations in reality. I can use those for money and all those things. But those same equations we can also use when we're doing things like weighing, when we're trying to come
Right.
up with when we come up with density. Those are all mathematical equations that work, that people use all over the world, and we use them for thousands of years, and they have got us to where we're at right now. My question is, again, how does density dictate weight? How does density dictate direction? Because so far you have given me nothing other than it just does it.
But Gary, you're asking me questions based on a defunct science that you buy into.
No,
The
I'm asking
density.
you, what is your science? You haven't given me any science on your part.
I
You've
sure
only
did.
made.
Listen. I told you I don't know an equation for density or whatever case may be because I don't work with it on that like that type of level where I'm figuring out the rates of things falling compared to this rate of things falling, and I don't know all that. It's as simple as hold something in the air and drop it. Okay,
Why
now
is it?
if
Oh,
now wait, hold on. Hold on. Now it's as simple as this. You can make yourself a multi-level platform. You can put a piece of cardboard at the top, a piece of paper, whatever you want, and then have a piece of wood at the bottom. Then obviously it's going to fall through the paper because whatever you're
wait a
dropping
minute.
is
You
going to
keep
be
saying that.
heavier
Hold on. You keep
because
saying
that's
obvious.
all it is. It's simple.
No, that's obviously what you observe. The question is, why does it go down?
Because
Why
it
why
has no
do objects
choice.
excel? Why doesn't it have a choice? What is causing it to not have a choice?
Things can only move in an up and down direction unless they're
Why?
listen, things can only move in an up and down direction unless they're acted upon by another force which changes their direction laterally. That's just how it
Why is
is.
it?
Can you
No,
dispute
no,
that?
no, no,
Wait,
no, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
hold on. Listen to me. Can you agree with that, or do you dispute the fact that things can only move in an up and down direction unless it's acted upon with a lateral force?
I don't think things move in
No,
any
no, hold
direction
on.
unless.
No, stop. If I'm holding an
No, I'm
object,
answering. Hold on, I'm answering your
listen
question.
to me, Gary. Listen to me closely, real quick. If I'm holding an object and I let it go, I don't push it, I don't scoot it to the side or nothing, I don't throw it up, I don't throw it down, I'm literally holding it and I let it go. It's either going to be light enough to go up or it's going to be heavy enough to go down. It's not going to go
No,
to the
sir.
left and it's not going to go to the right. Is it safe to say that that's accurate?
That's not accurate.
Oh, so you're telling me if you're holding something right now and you drop it, it's not going to go up or down unless something pushes it left
No.
or right?
Oh, hold on. In reality, if you let something go, the force of gravity is going to act upon it. Now,
Gary, listen
the
to me.
problem.
Stop,
Hold on.
stop.
Oh, no,
Oh
no.
my
I need you to
God,
stop for a
dude.
second. Let me tell you the first law of motion says that objects at rest will stay at rest unless force is acted upon them. Okay.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. That's the first law of motion. It's very clear. Objects at rest will stay at rest unless force is applied to them.
I think my
What
battery's
you're
about
telling
to
me.
die. Hold on.
What
Yeah,
Dre
no.
is telling me is that if an object, if he's holding it in his hand and he lets it go and no force acts upon it, it's going to just fall. But no, once again, we know objects at rest stay at rest unless force is applied upon them, which means for that object to fall, some kind of force had to be applied to it. Because if it didn't, the object would just stay exactly where it was.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. Can you back it up like maybe 40 seconds and go in again because I dropped
Yeah.
my.
From what we know of the law,
Wait. Hold on, brother. I'm sorry. Because I'm trying to plug in real quick so I don't get disconnected.
I hear you.
And I'm having some issues. So All right. Oh, hold on. I got 3%. Hold on. I think I can make it. I'm getting a Charlie horse.
Because of
Man.
age.
Yeah, you ain't lying because I've been working, man. I work today. I've been getting it in. So, brother old. Yeah, I ain't no spring chicken, dog. I got some miles on me. I ain't a young buck. Y'all young. Oh, damn. Oh, shit. I'm about to. Oh, man, I can't even get to the plug.
I'm probably older than both of y'all. What are you talking about?
You might be. How old are you?
38.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, we in the same range, man. I'm 36.
Yeah.
We're the same.
Well, I'm
Okay.
45.
45. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't that old, but whatever. Oh, shit. All right, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Okay. From what we know of the laws of motion is that an object at rest will stay at rest unless a force is applied upon it, left, right, or whatever. What you were just telling me is if you're holding an object in your hand and you let it go and there's no force applied on that object at all, it should stay exactly where it is.
No.
But then the law of motion is incorrect. Objects just move whether there's force applied to them or not, right?
Okay, all right. No, now listen to me. Whatever the law of motion says, formally at this point in time, I'm not concerned with. Now, I want you to just do this, whether you want to physically do it or just picture it in your mind. You hold something in your hand, right? Now, like I said, all you got to do literally is open your fingers. Just release it. Don't give it any energy. Literally, just open your fingers and let it do what it wants to do. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. Correct or incorrect?
Okay. Your scenario.
No. See, no. Stop right there because that's where you're muddying the water and you're dropping the ball. Like I said before. Now, just imagine you got a tennis ball in your hand and you're just holding it at shoulder height. And you literally just open your fingers just so that you're no longer holding that ball. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. Correct? Yes or no?
If we're standing on Earth, it's going to go down due to gravity. I can't answer your question.
Gary, just stop because you're muddying the waters. I'm
not muddying the waters. I'm just making sure you understand that I believe a force is acting upon that ball. If no force, let me put it like this. Based on the scenario you just gave me, if I had a ball in my hand and I let it go and no force at all, no force known to man acted upon that ball, it would stay exactly where I let it go at.
And you're saying it should hover in the air?
Yeah, because there's no force acting upon it.
See, now that is even more asinine for you to say that because then that means not only do you believe in something that's non-existent like gravity, but you completely
no gravity. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's how we know gravity is existent.
But what I'm telling you is, to me, gravity is complete bullshit. So what I'm saying is, you either believe in complete total bullshit, which you do because you believe in gravity the way it's presented, or you completely can just dismiss the notion of density and buoyancy because you believe that ball should just hover in mid fucking air.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you something. Hold on. Let me ask you something. I gave you the first. I gave you one of the laws of motion that an object at rest will stay at rest unless force is applied. Do you believe that to be true? Do you guys believe that to be true?
Yes.
Okay. So
now, no, wait, but because I got to make this is a very important caveat or whatever, asterisk or caveat, whatever you want to call it. That's with the understanding that when you say an object at rest, that would imply an object that is already sitting on what I would call the ground.
No, that's not what you just said.
But no, because listen, Gary,
I did not ask you that at all.
I know you didn't, Gary. I know you didn't. I'm just clarifying that that's the only way that I could agree with what you said is if that item was sitting on the ground. Then yes, that is completely and totally true because there's Gary. Listen, we're talking. Listen, just listen for a second. We're talking about gravity. You're asking me.
I didn't say anything about gravity in my scenario.
Gary,
all I asked you is about an object at rest.
Okay, just listen for a second. We were talking about gravity, correct? Yes, we were talking about gravity. Now you're
Hmm.
saying that you asked me what is it that's attracting that object to the ground per se, and to me that action or whatever that's occurring, that's a product of density or buoyancy, whatever, or whether it goes up or down. Okay, so now you're not putting energy in it, but in order to experience that, you have to have it elevated above the surface that's more dense than it in order for that to occur. So now, what you saying, an object that's at rest will stay at rest until it's acted upon by an exterior force. I completely agree with that, but that would imply that that item is sitting on the ground. That's
No, it doesn't.
completely different. Yes, it is,
No,
because
no, it
yes.
does not. Did not
All
say
right,
that.
explain to me. I didn't say you said that. I'm just telling you that that's what it implies to
No,
me
it
when you
doesn't.
say. Well, listen, when you say an object at rest, that implies to me that that object is already sitting at its final resting place, which in this case we will say it's the ground. If
That is
that
not.
object is
That is not what
okay,
I
so
said.
how can so no, I didn't say you said that. I'm just telling you what it implies according to an object at rest. An object would have to be sitting at its final resting stage, and like I said, in this case, we'll say the ground. So an object would have to be on the ground with no thing, a hand, blade of
Nope.
grass, whatever the case may be,
Nope.
touching it.
Nope.
It's at
Nope.
rest.
Nope.
Now, if
Nope.
somebody comes along with a stick or something and they hit it, it's going to move, obviously. Now, in the case of you holding an object in the air in order to demonstrate gravity, I call density, it's naturally going to fall down, or if it's lighter than the air around it, it's going to go directly up. The only way it's going to go left or right is if somebody pushes or the wind blows it and it moves left or right. Other than that, it's naturally going to go directly up or go directly down. And if you don't understand that, dude, I don't know what to tell you, because that's as
No, I understand what
elementary
you're
as it
saying.
gets.
No, I understand what you're saying. The problem is when you keep saying that it goes naturally down. That's a
Yes.
problem. That's a problem because
Depending on the element.
hold on, stop. Because you just acknowledged that an object at rest will stay at rest unless force is applied upon it.
Absolutely.
And then you have the caveat of saying that it already has to be on the ground. I didn't
There,
give
because
you that
that's
caveat.
at rest.
No, stop. That's the caveat you put on there yourself. Because I'm saying if you're
Absolutely.
holding it up, hold on. I'm saying if you take that object and you put it in the air and you release it, that object is now at rest. Now I let it go and I put
No,
my
it is
hand.
not.
Hold on. I let that object go and I let it go in the air. Now there's no forces acting upon that object, but you
See,
say it
Gary,
went down, which
you're
is
wrong,
a problem
because I'm
because
gonna tell
now
you how
you
you're
have an
wrong.
object that
I'm gonna
was
tell you how
at
you're wrong.
rest and it
Listen,
moved without any force on it.
this is how you're
You
wrong,
have yet to explain that.
because the initial force that's being placed on the object is you holding it in the air in the first place. The only reason why you're holding it in the air in the first place is to see how it responds when you release it, meaning you're letting it seek its resting place.
No, I'm
What do you
taking
mean?
it to its rest. I'm
No, you're
taking
not,
it to its
because
rest. Yes,
you're
I
not
am.
taking it.
No, my
How are you
hand
taking
is
it?
my hand is the force that is placing it in its
Listen,
resting place.
Gary,
Its resting place is in the middle of the air.
no,
So
its
I
resting
leave it.
place is the ground where it fucking lands.
No, sir. Because once
What?
again, because the object, if I take the object and I place it in the air and you say it falls, since the law of motion says the reason it's moving is because a force has been acted upon it. Then
No.
what force?
A force has not been acted upon it. All
Then
you
how
did,
did it move? Then how
because
did it
you
move?
released it. Because you
No,
released it.
no. Once again, an object at rest will stay at
Listen,
rest unless a force is being applied to it, which means once I put it out in the middle of the air and let go, it should stay there. But if it falls, that means a force has caused it to move. It will not move without a force. If it's moving, it has a force. That's what you're not understanding. You keep skipping over that
it's
part.
not
Contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not. It's a result.
Yes, you are.
It's a result of the density. Like I said before, it's a result.
Okay, hold on
of
a
the
second.
density.
Hold on. Let's go back again. An object at rest will stay at rest unless a force is applied upon it. You said you agree with that.
Now stop right there. Now stop right there for a second. Now
Okay.
you holding an object in the air is not an object at rest.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. An object at rest is an object free of external manipulation.
Correct.
If and
Nothing is
now if
manipulating it.
okay, now if you're holding it in the air, you sure are fucking manipulating it because you're holding it.
No, I'm
As soon
holding
as
it.
you
Now
let it
I'm
go, as soon as you let it go, you're no longer holding it. Now it's responding to the laws
no.
of nature, the way
Okay,
it was supposed
then now,
to
hold
respond.
on. Then something's manipulating it then. That's the only way it can move now, right? Because it can't move because of my hand, right? So what's
Yeah,
causing it to
and
move? What's
because
manipulating it so it can move?
there's nothing per se manipulating it. It's just a natural effect of buoyancy
Then you have
because the
just
item that's
violated the
being
law you just said.
no because the item that you're holding, it weighs more and it's more dense in the air, so it falls to the ground and it
No,
doesn't go
sir.
any further
Then
because
you
it's
just
less dense in the
violated
ground.
your own law. An object at rest will
I
stay
don't
at rest
have a
until
law.
you just said you agreed with that. Or do you not agree with it now?
No, like I told you before, I agree with that, with the understanding that an object at rest to me means it is sitting on the ground or whatever its final resting position is without anything touching it, without anything pushing it, without anything suspending it, without
The
anything
ground is suspending it
blowing
if
on
it's
it.
on the ground.
Say what?
If it's on the ground, then the ground is causing it to keep it from moving any further, keeping it from going up. What's keeping it from going up?
Because it's heavier than the air and it cannot ascend up. That would
No.
start
Once again, you're sitting there contradicting yourself. You
how?
have this object because you have the object going down without a force, but you just said things don't move unless there's force placed upon them.
No, I told you that things have two directions that they can move without a force being acted upon
I,
them. Those
I
two
don't hold
directions.
on. I don't care if you think the thing has to be on the ground.
That's
In
not
the
what I
scenario,
think.
hold on. I don't care if you think the thing has to be laying on the ground to be at rest. The thing I'm saying is, once I put it out in the air and I let it go and it moves towards the ground, you said that object, for it to move, has to have force placed upon it.
No, that's what you're saying,
That's what you said. You just don't realize you said that.
Gary.
That's the problem.
This is like I said, I'm gonna say this one more time, and I don't know how much more simple I can put it. It's as simple as this. Anything, it can only move in one or two directions naturally. It's either going to go up because it's lighter in the air, i.e., something like helium is lighter than the air surrounds it. So when you release it, it naturally goes directly up unless the wind pushes it to the left or the wind pushes it to the right or you smack it like a soccer ball. Other than that, it's going to go
Right?
directly in the air. Now,
No,
in the
no, sir.
indicate.
I can make a helium balloon
Oh
go
my
down. So then
god.
what?
Yeah, after about 4 days and it loses its
No,
gas.
not after 4 days. Not after 4 days. I can take a helium balloon and put it immediately in a vacuum chamber. It will be floating up. Soon as I take away the atmosphere, it will
Okay.
fall straight down.
And the reason why that
If it doesn't
is,
pop.
and like I told you before, and I don't understand how or why you don't understand this. And the reason why that happens is because the helium has nothing to compare itself as far as the air surrounding it. There's no
To
air,
compare
so what's the
itself?
yeah? Because the helium is a medium,
Wait a
and
minute.
in
Hold on.
order for listen,
This is
Gary,
even better. This is even
you
better.
need to
Hold
chill
on.
for a second. You need to
No, hold on.
chill
This
for a
is even
second.
better
No, dude,
because
you need
now
to
the
chill
helium.
for a second.
Hold on. No, this is even better because now the
Oh my
helium balloon.
god.
Hold on. Now I have a way to have something floating in the air that doesn't have to be sitting on the ground. I can have the helium balloon floating in the air undisturbed.
Gary,
Right?
you're like, dude, you're coming up with these scenarios, but what you're failing to realize is now you're introducing a whole nother aspect why by removing the air and all
Oh
this other
no
shit.
no
It's
no no no
Gary,
no no!
listen.
I need to ask you again
Oh my
about
god, dude.
the scenario of objects being at rest in the air, and then
There is
if
no
they're at
way
rest.
for an object to be at rest in the fucking air unless it's being manipulated by an external force. If you don't understand that, then
Wait a
bro,
minute. So
I'm,
helium balloons. Hold on. Helium balloons can't float in the air by themselves.
they don't stay suspended in the air like if you let it go and it magically stays right where you let it go like David fucking Copperfield. Absolutely not. It rises,
No. Hold on. I can take a helium balloon, tie a string to it, and it will stay in the air, right?
but it's being tethered by the fucking string.
Right. But I can make that helium balloon fall by eliminating the air pressure, right?
Yeah, because now the helium,
Right. Okay.
but
Hold on.
that because
So
now the helium is heavier.
wait,
Yeah,
before
because the
you hold
helium
on,
is heavier than the lack of air around it.
hold on, before you go too further. So now I have something in the air, suspended in air. It is
But
at
you,
rest.
but it's tethered. It's tethered.
Hold on. It's at rest in the air. It's at rest. Okay, in the air.
No, it's
Now,
not.
it's not.
It's tethered. It's moving around. The
No,
only reason
but
why it's not
hold,
continuing its ascendance,
no,
its ascending is because
no.
it's got a fucking
Stop,
string
stop,
tied to it.
stop. It is in the
What
air.
the
It is
fuck?
not. Hold on. It's in the air. It's not going up. It's not going down. It's not going left. It's not going right. It is at rest in the air.
Does it
Okay?
have a string tied to it?
Yes.
Then it's not at fucking rest in the air. The
Yes,
only
it
reason why
is.
it,
Hold
the
on.
only reason, listen, Gary, the only reason
For
why
the
it's staying
nature
there is
of
because
this,
it has a mechanical attachment being the
Dre,
string. If you
Dre,
eliminate the
Dre,
string, the fucking
Dre,
balloon will go in the air.
Dre, for the nature of this experiment, the word rest means that it is not moving. Okay?
No, that's not
No,
an accurate description of rest.
no. Listen.
Nope. If you're going to use a word like rest, you need to use the
Hold on.
accurate description
No,
of it.
I am telling you what I mean when I say rest. I
I
mean
don't
that
want to
the
know what you
object
mean.
is.
I want to
I
use
need
the
you to
terminology that's
understand.
correct.
What, do we need to look up rest? Because it's similar to what I've just said.
A balloon that's tethered by a fucking string is not an object at rest.
No, if it's not moving, it is at rest.
Listen, I don't give a fuck if that thing is perfectly plumb and level.
Hold
If
on.
it's got a string tied to it and
we
it's got
need to
helium
look
in it,
up what rest means?
listen,
At
if
rest.
it's got a string tied to it and it's got helium in it, it's not at rest because that string is counteracting the effect of the helium.
When things are considered at rest, that means that they're not moving. I mean, that's literally the definition of at rest means not moving.
Gary, right. You're absolutely 100% right. Now, like I said before, take away the string. Does that balloon move or does it stay still?
No, it's not moving. It doesn't matter if it has a string on it or not. At rest means not moving.
Okay, so what's your point? No, wait. Okay, now what's your point? So the balloon is perfectly still, it's not moving. How does that
at rest?
Okay. So then what's next?
At rest means it's not moving. So it's
okay, so what's next? Okay, so what's next?
Hold on.
Okay, next step. Moving. All right, next step.
So we eliminate the air from around it, and now the balloon falls.
Yeah, okay.
Correct? So it was at rest. No force was applied to the balloon.
Okay.
Why did it fall?
Because when you removed the air, the helium became heavier than its surrounding and it's seeking its final resting place, which would be the fucking ground that it lands on.
So what force was applied to
it? Okay, Gary, if this is what you're looking for, the force that was applied to it would be called density. In the event that it rises in the air, it would be called buoyancy.
Density is a force now.
It's much more of a realistic and accurate force than gravity by a long shot.
Wait a minute. You think density is a force? How is it a force? Give me an example of density being a force.
Because it's something that we can measure through experimentation. It's something we can observe. It's something that we can see on a daily basis. It's something that we can to an extent we can harness. We can't harness fucking gravity. We can't measure.
Yeah, we can.
That's what they give you these equations to explain it, and it's just not.
No. You want me to tell you something that's incredibly funny? You believe in perpetual motion machines, and one of the first perpetual motion machines was based on gravity.
And it was probably done that way to get people to buy in the notion of gravity being a legitimate force.
No,
it's not gravity's not
trying to make one of the earliest perpetual motion machines has to do with some weight.
It's a wheel.
On
it's a wheel. I know what it is.
And they think gravity, it will run on gravity and cause it to have a perpetual motion. But of course, they didn't factor in friction, which was what the wheel was causing, and eventually it wore down due to entropy. But that's another subject. The problem here is that you acknowledge that if an object is at rest, which means it's not moving, that it can't move unless force is applied to it. But when you get to your density argument, you throw that out of the window, and then all of a sudden density becomes some kind of force.
I don't like I said before. The only reason why I say density is a force because you keep asking me what's the force that's causing it to move, and like I keep telling you, anything. I don't give a fuck what it is, whether it's a 10-pound weight or a feather or a helium balloon. It can only move in two primary directions, being up and down, unless it's acted upon by an external force which changes its direction laterally. It's as simple as that. Other than that, an item like a helium balloon that's suspended by a string is not an item at rest. Just because it's moving doesn't mean it's at rest. An item at rest is when it seeks its natural resting stage, whether it rises or falls.
Not moving. At rest means not moving. I don't know why you think at rest means
because what I'm telling you is, and this is the key thing about your balloon argument, when you remove the vice called the string that's tethering the balloon is going to move because it wants to move the whole time. The only reason why it's not moving, and that force is buoyancy, and the helium is trying to rise to its natural state.
The force is the air that's around.
Right,
the air pressure that's around.
I'm done. You're right. Absolutely right.
All right, guys. Hang on, Gary. Gary.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Gary, we're kind of running through. We're at the point now where we're running circles. What I'm going to do?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're right. I'm out.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to end it. The Discord chat is open at the front in the Frontline main chat. I'm probably not going to record, so anything is open to go. I'm going to end the live chat. End the live stream. I do want to thank Gary for stopping by, and actually he was very respectful. He didn't do what he does normally do, and I extremely appreciate that, Gary. Hang on, let me get this run quick. As you guys can see on the screen, the Discord is here. I may continue to record, but I may not be. I'll be in and out. Main reason for the Discord is mainly just for you guys to have a place to do this when live streams are done and not going on. I would like to thank Jay Alex. Jay Alex did step in and set up the whole Discord. So much props to him, and I do appreciate it. Without him, it will not be where it's at now. Again, like I said, it is open to everybody. I would appreciate it if everyone use the options in the general chat. That way everybody can be able to use them, because there are other spots that other people will not be able to. Excuse me. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And then, again, Dre, man, it's been a while, and I appreciate you being around.
I missed this shit.
Oh yeah, I know. I could tell. I could tell you into it.
Hey, look, man, bro. Listen, when I get done, like I said, I got a little work lined up. But when I get my stuff done or whatever, I'll be back up in the scene. I just got a lot. I'm a little busy right now, but I appreciate this, man. It was definitely nice chopping it up with you, Gary. I love it. And Sean, obviously, bro, you know what it is.
Yep.
Love what you do. Keep doing what you do, man. I appreciate you having me on as always, bro.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Everybody in the chat, peace, love, and hair grease. Mad respect to all y'all.
Thank you, sir. Gary, man, I appreciate you coming by. You're always welcome. Always welcome. I know before, you're very passionate about what you're saying, and again, I didn't mean any disrespect by saying, make sure you're not talking over everybody, but I do appreciate you staying on that and respecting that.
You still don't know what the fuck you talking about, though.
Yeah, I can't believe you can't see that you're contradicting yourself by saying
no. Hey, what I'll do, Gary, I'll leave this. I can leave this open.
I think we should have a vote. And another go at it for sure, because this is not over.
Oh,
we have to write it down so that you couldn't turn around and go back.
writing shit down. Hip always have, always will,
No,
and
yeah, but you can't
I
see
stick
when
to my
you're
guns.
going back on what you just said.
Okay, but Gary, I know, but we're done with the hangouts. People, I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Again, it's been a long time since I've been on, and I'm happy you guys, and I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out for the couple hours, 3 hours that we were on. I will be going on a lot more. Like I said, I kind of I did need a little bit of a break to collect my thoughts and figure things out. I will be at the Discord quite often. Stargazer, Stargazer Jim, I do appreciate seeing you in there. Like I said, the Discord will be for this to continue. Anyone in the chat that wants to, there is a voice chat option in the Discord, so anybody can at any time can jump on there, and you guys can have it out. I do. There are You have to be respectful. There is no disrespect. You will be banned and kicked out of this server without notice if without that. But like I said, thank everybody. If you would like to continue chatting, or maybe even get on and say something yourself, the Discord will be. It may or may not be recorded, so I would like you guys to keep that in mind when you are talking or saying something if you don't want the world to know it. But the link's in the description. There's a lot of stuff in the Discord I still haven't figured out. J Alex, J Alex will be around possibly, most likely, and he can help you guys out. There are bots there that can help you out, and as time goes, I will be able to help you out. But with that said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this out, and I just want to go through the chat and Stargazer Jim, thank you for stopping by, my friend. Your sweet place. Thank you for being here. I definitely appreciate you. You are FE family for life. Jay Alex, I see you in there, man. I'll probably talk to you in a little bit.
Jay.
Free minded, man. Thanks for stopping by.
What up?
The So Otai, we are dancers. Thank you, sir. Again, thank you for
what up?
thank you for being a part of the Discord. You've been around for a while at the Discord and in and out, so I appreciate that. Let me see who else is in here real quick. Let me get up the chat. Gamer Tamer. I think this may be the first time I've seen you in the chat. You may have been around. I apologize if not. I will get around to checking your channel so I can give you a wrench or not. McVice, man, thanks for stopping by. And I'd like everyone to notice that the Nightbot in the chat right now, he hates certain things, and gravity is definitely one of them. So every time you guys have said gravity, he will let you know exactly how he feels. James Holloway, I've never seen you before. Thanks for stopping by, though. Trouble About, thank you for stopping by. I've seen you around, and I appreciate your input in the chat as well. I do notice there's quite a few. Free Earth Alaska, thank you. Man, so quite a few people came through. Go up here real quick. Who else? I think those are pretty much the majority that were in here going back and forth. Guys, I also do appreciate, I only saw a few timeouts, which means that the respect level was at a good point here, and I appreciate everyone, whether you flat Earth or globe. I would appreciate it if everything you've heard and or believe you do your research on, and at any point in time, share it. Let everyone know what you have found and you want them to know. The Discord is another place for that to be done. I hope I see you guys there. I love you guys all. Thank you.
Peace out, brother, man. Much love. Peace out, Gary.
All right, Dre. Catch you later, man.
I'll talk to you soon, Dre. Thanks again, Gary.
Revolutionary, frontline standing, solitary. Mind state, kinda scary. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and put me on the front line. Put me on the front line. Put me on the the front line. Put me on the front line. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. I'm battle tested. Follow me until the end. Follow me if you can. Heart beating faster. Don't forget to breathe and put me on the front line. 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 Hold strong. I'm battle tested. Hold strong.
It's John Paul. With you, I'll go toe to toe with you. I'll go toe to toe with you. I'll go toe to toe with you. Go toe to toe with you. I'll go